In a universe where fate made a single mistake. There exists a fracture, not in space, not in time, but in the very foundation of existence itself. A crack so small that gods would miss it, so insignificant that angels would pass it by. Yet within that fracture, destinies collide, universes bleed into one another, and a warrior prince, born in blood and raised in pride, would find himself cast into a realm where death itself has no meaning. This is not a story of heroes. This is the legend of what happens when pride meets damnation. Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans, stood alone on the precipice of his greatest transformation. In Universe 7, amid the cosmic battles that shaped reality, he had finally achieved what Goku could not: Ultra Ego, the form that thrived on damage, the power that grew stronger with every wound, every drop of blood spilled. Where Goku's Ultra Instinct sought perfect defense, Vegeta's Ultra Ego demanded absolute destruction. He was a god of war given flesh. But power always demands a price. During a cataclysmic battle with an entity beyond comprehension, a being that existed between dimensions, Vegeta pushed Ultra Ego beyond its limits. The purple aura around him burned so bright it tore reality itself. His opponent, desperate and dying, activated a forbidden technique, not to destroy Vegeta, but to remove him, to cast him into a place where his power would mean nothing. The dimensional rift opened like a wound in the cosmos. Vegeta's scream shook planets as he was pulled through layers of reality. He reached for anything, anyone, but there was only void, only silence. His Ultra Ego form collapsed, his consciousness scattered across infinite possibilities. And when the universe finally exhaled, Vegeta's body crashed through the crimson sky of a realm that should not exist. He fell for what felt like eternity. Below him, a city burned with neon light. Pentagram City, capital of Hell's Pride Ring. A sprawling metropolis of the damned where sinners clawed for power, where demons fed on the weak, and where hope came to die. The sky above was permanently scarlet, painted with the face of an ancient clock that counted down to annual purges. Buildings rose like twisted spires of bone and metal. Screams echoed through streets where violence was currency and suffering was entertainment. This was hell, but not the hell of Earth's religions. This was the afterlife created by divine judgment, ruled by the morning star himself, where the worst of humanity was sent to suffer for eternity. A place of hierarchy and cruelty, where overlords commanded legions, and where redemption was considered the greatest joke ever told. Vegeta's body struck the ground outside a peculiar building that stood apart from the chaos. The impact created a crater 20 feet wide. Dust and debris exploded outward. Sinners nearby scattered in terror, thinking another overlord was making their entrance. But when the dust settled, what emerged from that crater was something hell had never seen. A warrior in tattered clothing, muscular and compact, with black flame-like hair and eyes that burned with barely contained fury. Blood dripped from his wounds, yet he stood. His pride would not allow him to fall. Not here, not in this pathetic realm that stank of weakness and desperation. Vegeta's eyes adjusted to the crimson light. He took in his surroundings with a warrior's assessment. Weak, pathetic, not a single power level worth acknowledging. Whatever this place was, it existed far beneath him. "Where the hell am I?" His voice cut through the ambient screams like a blade. Before him stood the Hazbin Hotel, a massive, elaborate building that seemed constructed from Victorian excess and desperate optimism. Its sign flickered with magic-powered lights. Its architecture defied physics in ways that would make mortals weep. And at its entrance, drawn by the impact, stood its residents. Charlie Morningstar, Princess of Hell, embodied everything Vegeta despised. Optimism, kindness, weakness disguised as virtue. Her blonde hair caught the red light as she rushed forward, genuine concern on her face. Behind her, Vaggie gripped her spear, ready for violence. Alastor, the radio demon, materialized from shadows with that eternal grin. Angel Dust leaned against the doorframe, whiskey bottle in hand. Husk growled from behind his bar. And Nifty scurried about, fascinated by this new arrival. "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" Charlie's voice was bright, cheerful, nauseating in its sincerity. Vegeta's eyes narrowed. "Stay back." But Charlie, in her infinite foolishness, approached anyway. "You're hurt, please let us help you. This is the Hazbin Hotel, we help people here. We rehabilitate sinners and—" "I said stay back." The force of Vegeta's shout created a shockwave that cracked windows. Charlie stumbled backward, caught by Vaggie. The other residents tensed. Alastor's grin widened with interest. Here was something new, something dangerous, something entertaining. Vegeta assessed the situation with growing irritation. These beings, whatever they were, possessed energy signatures unlike anything in Universe 7. Not Kai, something else, something that felt wrong, corrupted. Yet beneath that corruption there was power, not enough to threaten him, but enough to notice. "What is this place?" Vegeta demanded, his voice dropping to dangerous calm. Charlie, recovering her composure, smiled despite the threat before her. "You're in hell," the pride ring specifically. "This is my hotel, where sinners can work toward redemption and—" "Hell?" Vegeta's laugh was bitter and sharp. "You expect me to believe I'm in some afterlife?" "Well, yes, actually. When humans die and are judged unworthy of heaven, they—" "I am no human." Vegeta's aura flickered purple for just a moment, causing everyone except Alastor to step back. "I am Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans. I am a warrior who has fought gods and broken beings that could unmake your pathetic existence with a thought. I am—" He stopped mid-sentence. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. Vegeta tried to power up to access even his base Super Saiyan form. Nothing. The energy was there, buried deep within him, but something about this realm suppressed it, trapped it. He could feel his power like a caged beast, but he could not release it fully. Not yet. His pride, however, would not allow him to show weakness. "This realm," Alastor interjected, his radio-filtered voice cutting through the tension, "operates on different rules, my explosive friend. Your peculiar energy is being filtered through Hell's natural laws. Quite fascinating, really. I've never seen anything quite like you." Vegeta's glare could have melted steel. "You know nothing of what I am." "Perhaps," Alastor conceded with theatrical grace, "but you are here nonetheless, and in Hell one must adapt or be consumed. Such are the rules of our little game." Vegeta's fists clenched, every instinct screamed at him to destroy these insects, to level this building and everything around it until he found answers, until he found a way home. But something held him back, not mercy, never mercy, but the tactical understanding that he was in unknown territory, weakened, suppressed. He needed information. "Tell me how to leave this place," Vegeta commanded. Charlie exchanged glances with Vaggie before answering. I don't think you can, not easily. Hell is a closed system. The only ways out are through redemption to heaven, which has never actually worked, or through the extermination, which, well, that's permanent death." "Unacceptable." "Look," Vaggie stepped forward, her spear still ready. "I don't know what you are or where you came from, but in Hell you follow the rules or you suffer. We're offering shelter, food, a place to figure things out, take it or leave it." Vegeta's pride warred with his survival instinct. He hated these beings, hated their weakness, their pathetic realm, their very existence. But he was also intelligent enough to recognize when he needed time. Time to understand this place, time to recover his full power, time to find a way home. "Fine," he spat the word like poison. "I will stay, temporarily, but know this, if any of you betray me, if any of you prove to be liabilities, I will erase you from existence. Is that clear?" Charlie's smile somehow brightened despite the threat. "Crystal clear. Welcome to the Hazbin Hotel. I'm Charlie, and I just know we're going to help you find redemption." "I don't need redemption. I need a way out of this hell." As Vegeta was led inside, Alastor hung back, his grin taking on a more sinister edge. He had existed for nearly a century in Hell, had seen countless powerful beings rise and fall, but this warrior, this Saiyan, represented something entirely new. Something that could upset the delicate balance of power. And Alastor did so love upsetting balances. Inside the hotel, Vegeta's eyes catalogued everything. The dated decor, the weak inhabitants, the sheer absurdity of a rehabilitation center in literal hell. It was insane, foolish, doomed to fail. Yet as he was shown to a room, as he stood alone for the first time since arriving, Vegeta allowed himself a moment of honest assessment. He was trapped, weakened, separated from everything he knew. Kakarot would not save him. The Dragon Balls could not reach him here. Bulma's technology was universes away. For the first time in years, Vegeta felt something he despised. Uncertainty. He looked out the window at the Crimson City below, at the distant screams and explosions that provided Hell's ambient soundtrack, at the clock tower in the sky that counted down to something the hotel's residents called Extermination Day. In 6 months, heaven's angels would descend to call the population of sinners. In 6 months, Vegeta would witness what Hell considered a threat. And in that moment, standing alone in a realm of the damned, the prince of all Saiyans made a vow he would escape this place, he would return home, and anyone who stood in his way, angel, daemon, or anything in between, would learn why the universe itself feared his name. Outside his room, Charlie stood with her friends, discussing their newest guest. "He's dangerous," Vaggie stated flatly. "He's fascinating," Alastor countered. "He's fucked up," Angel Dust added helpfully. "He's hurting," Charlie said softly. "Did you see his eyes? Beneath all that anger, there's someone who's lost. Alone, that's what we do here. We help the lost." Husk grumbled from behind his bar. "That guy ain't lost, kid. He's a fucking natural disaster waiting to happen." But Charlie's optimism could not be dimmed. She had built this hotel on the belief that anyone could be redeemed, that even in hell, hope could survive. And now, fate had literally dropped a challenge at her doorstep. She would help this warrior, this Vegeta. She would show him that redemption was possible. She had no idea that her kindness would be the catalyst for hell's greatest catastrophe. No idea that this single mistake of fate would lead to war between dimensions. No idea that before the end, sacrifices would be demanded that would shake the very foundations of heaven and hell. The story had begun, and hell would never be the same. 3 days passed in hell's eternal crimson twilight. Vegeta endured those days like a caged tiger, pacing the boundaries of his prison with barely restrained fury. The Hazbin Hotel, with its optimistic delusions and cheerful inhabitants, represented everything he despised: weakness, false hope, the pathetic belief that redemption could somehow wash away the truth of what you were. But Vegeta was nothing if not strategic. He spent those first days observing, learning, cataloging the power structures of this realm with the same tactical mind that had helped him survive the Saiyan genocide, Frieza's servitude, and gods who played with mortals like toys. Hell operated on rules that made no logical sense to him, yet possessed an internal consistency he could exploit. The souls here, sinners, they called themselves, were immortal in a sense. They could be killed, torn apart, erased temporarily, but they would regenerate given time. True death only came during the annual extermination, when heaven's angels descended with blessed weapons that could permanently erase a soul from existence. Overlords ruled through fear and contract. Demons formed hierarchies based on power and influence, and somehow, impossibly, the weakest being in the entire structure was trying to rehabilitate them all. Charlie Morningstar, Princess of Hell, daughter of Lucifer himself. She confused Vegeta more than anything else in this realm. On the fourth morning, though morning was merely a designation in a place where the sky never changed, Vegeta stood on the hotel's balcony, attempting once more to access his full power. His Kai was there, deep within him, but it felt muffled, contained, like trying to shout underwater. "You're going to hurt yourself." Vegeta didn't turn at the sound of Alastor's radio-filtered voice. The radio demon had a habit of appearing uninvited, always with that unsettling grin, always watching with eyes that saw too much. "I've survived injuries that would unmake your entire existence," Vegeta replied coldly. "Whatever suppression this realm employs is temporary." "Is it?" Alastor materialized fully beside him, his cane appearing from shadow. "Hell has hosted many powerful beings, my explosive friend, fallen angels, ancient demons, entities that predate human sin itself. All of them learned to adapt, those who didn't." He didn't need to finish the sentence. Vegeta's jaw clenched. "I am not one of your demons, I am a Saiyan, yes, you've mentioned, quite repeatedly." Alastor's grin somehow widened. "A warrior race from another universe. How delightfully chaotic. Tell me, Prince Vegeta, what does a god-killer do when trapped in a realm where gods are the wardens?" "I find a way out, or I destroy everything until a way presents itself." Ah, the direct approach, how refreshingly simple. Alastor's eyes gleamed with ancient cunning. But destruction in hell is complicated. You see, this realm exists outside conventional reality. It's sustained by divine will, Lucifer's will specifically. To escape, you would need to either find a dimensional tier, similar to the one that brought you here, or what? Become powerful enough to tear one yourself, which, given your current suppressed state, seems rather unlikely. Vegeta's aura flickered purple for a brief moment, causing the air itself to distort. Alastor's grin never wavered, but his grip on his cane tightened imperceptibly. Even suppressed, this warrior radiated a danger that hell had rarely seen. There are rumors, Alastor continued conversationally, of a place in hell where reality grows thin, where the fabric between dimensions weakens. The overlords speak of it in wise. Purs, some call it the Void Gate, others the Scar. It's said to exist in the deepest part of the Pride Ring, in territories so dangerous that even the most powerful demons dare not venture there. Vegeta turned finally, his eyes boring into Alastor's. You're telling me this why? Because, my dear Saiyan Prince, I find you fascinating, and because Charlie's rehabilitation experiment has grown rather dull. The thought of what might happen if someone like you found their way into hell's darker corners, well, it does add a certain spice to existence. I don't trust you. How wise, trust is such a fragile thing in hell, but consider this, I have no reason to lie. Whether you destroy yourself seeking this void gate or actually succeed in escaping, either outcome entertains me. Such is the privilege of immortal existence. We must find our amusement where we can. Before Vegeta could respond, an explosion rocked the hotel's foundation. Both warriors moved instantly, Alastor melting into shadow while Vegeta launched himself toward the source of the disturbance. His suppressed power still allowed him physical capabilities far beyond anything this realm had seen. He moved faster than the demon's eyes could track, appearing in the hotel lobby in seconds. What he found there made his warriors' blood quicken. A group of demons had crashed through the hotel's front entrance, not the pathetic sinners that populated the streets, but something worse, stronger. These were Overlord-class demons, their power levels actually registering on Vegeta's internal scale, not threatening to him, even suppressed, but significant nonetheless. Leading them was a towering figure dressed in a pinstripe suit, with a television for a head displaying a face of electronic cruelty. Vox, one of Hell's most powerful overlords, had come calling. Well, Vox's screen flickered with his predatory smile. The Hazbin Hotel welcomes all sinners, doesn't it, Charlie? So we thought we'd drop in. Charlie stood between the invaders and her hotel, Vaggie at her side with spear ready. Vox, you're not welcome here. Leave, now. Oh, Princess, I'm hurt, truly, but you see, we've heard rumors, whispers of a new arrival, someone powerful, someone who doesn't belong. His screen face turned toward Vegeta, and here he is, the anomaly, the glitch in Hell's perfect system. Vegeta's eyes narrowed, so his presence had been noticed by the power brokers of this realm, predictable, disappointing. He had hoped for more time to understand this place before being forced to demonstrate why crossing a Saiyan prince was a fatal mistake. Who are you supposed to be? Vegeta asked, his voice laden with contempt. Vox's screen crackled with electronic laughter. I am Vox, technology overlord, media king. I control what Hell sees, hears, and thinks, and you little newcomer are disrupting my operations. Your energy signature is interfering with my systems across the Pride Ring, so you have two choices. Come with me voluntarily and we'll find a way to contain your peculiarity, or what? The temperature in the room dropped. Vegeta's suppressed aura leaked out just for a moment, but it was enough. Windows cracked, the floor beneath his feet splintered. Even Vox's electronic confidence faltered. Or we make you, Vox finished, but his voice carried less certainty. Vox, don't do this, Charlie pleaded. Violence isn't the answer, we can talk about this. Find a solution that doesn't. Silence, Princess, one of Vox's subordinates, a shark-like demon, stepped forward. We're not here for your redemption nonsense, we're here for him. What happened next occurred in less than 3 seconds. The shark demon lunged at Vegeta with speed that would have impressed lesser warriors. His claws, designed to tear through Hell's toughest materials, reached for the Saiyan's throat. Vegeta didn't dodge, didn't block, didn't even bother to move. He simply raised one hand and caught the demon by the face. The demon's momentum stopped instantly, as if he'd struck a mountain. His claws scraped uselessly against Vegeta's arm, drawing no blood, and in Vegeta's eyes there was only cold calculation. Pathetic. Vegeta's fingers tightened. The demon's skull began to crack. Screams filled the hotel as the other invaders realized they had made a catastrophic error in judgment. The demon in Vegeta's grasp began to disintegrate, his form breaking apart not from holy weapons or angelic power, but from sheer overwhelming force. Stop, Charlie's voice cut through the violence. Please stop. Vegeta released the demon, who collapsed in a heap, regenerating slowly from near annihilation. I gave you a chance to leave. You chose poorly. Vox's screen face contorted with rage and fear. You think you're special. You think you can just... He never finished the sentence. Vegeta moved, even suppressed, even weakened. He was still a warrior who had trained under gods and fought alongside angels. Of destruction, his fist connected with Vox's screen face with precisely calibrated force. Not enough to kill, Vegeta understood the importance of sending messages, but enough to shatter. Vox's screen exploded in a shower of electronic components and electricity. The Overlord's body stumbled backward, his face already beginning to regenerate, but the damage was done. The message was sent. Leave, Vegeta commanded. Take your pathetic subordinates and never return. The next time I see any of you, I will not be so merciful. They fled, powerful overlords who had ruled hell for decades, scattered like frightened children before a predator they could not comprehend. Within seconds, the hotel was empty of invaders, leaving only broken furniture and shocked residents. Charlie stared at Vegeta with an expression mixing horror and concern. You almost killed him. You didn't have to go that far. He came to capture or kill me. I responded appropriately. That's not how we do things here. Then you're all going to die. Vegeta's voice was flat, final. This realm operates on power. I've seen it in the streets. The strong dominate, the weak suffer. Your redemption fantasy won't change that fundamental truth. Vaggie stepped between them, her spear raised. Don't talk to her like that. Vegeta looked at her with the same expression someone might give an insect. That weapon wouldn't scratch me even if I stood still and let you strike. Don't embarrass yourself. The tension in the room was suffocating. Angel Dust had retreated behind the bar with Husk, both demons understanding they were witnessing something beyond their usual chaos. Nifty simply stared, her single eye wide with fascination, and Alastor, emerging from shadows in the corner, watched with evident delight. Well, the radio demon purred, that was certainly entertaining, but I believe our Saiyan prince has made his position clear. He's not here for redemption, he's here to escape, and until he does, he'll defend himself with lethal efficiency. Quite the predicament for a rehabilitation hotel. Charlie's eyes were wet with frustrated tears. There has to be another way. Violence isn't the answer, it's never the answer. In your protected little fantasy, perhaps, Vegeta turned toward the stairs, heading back to his room. But in the real world, in any world, power is the only currency that matters. Your father understands that. It's why he rules this realm. It's why heaven fears him. You would do well to learn the same lesson. He paused at the top of the stairs, looking back at the assembled demons. Stay out of my way, help me find a way out of this realm, or don't, it makes no difference. But know this, I am Vegeta, prince of all Saiyans. I have destroyed planets, I have fought gods, I have broken beings that your worst nightmares couldn't imagine. This hell is nothing compared to the wars I've survived, and before I leave, every power broker, every overlord, every angel who thinks they can control me will learn that simple truth. He disappeared into the upper floors, leaving silence in his wake. Charlie sat down heavily, her optimism finally cracking. What have I done? What did I bring into my hotel? You gave shelter to something powerful, Alastor answered, his grin never wavering. And power, my dear, always comes with consequences. The question now is whether those consequences will destroy your little experiment or transform it into something far more interesting. Vaggie held Charlie close, shooting a venomous glare at Alastor. You're enjoying this. Immensely, hell has been rather predictable for decades. This Vegeta represents chaos, change, the possibility that everything we know might be turned upside down. How could I not be entertained? In his room, Vegeta stood before the window, his reflection showing a warrior in a realm that made no sense. The suppression on his power was loosening, he could feel it. His body was adapting to Hell's unique energy signature. Given time, he would regain his full abilities. But time was something he might not have. Word would spread about what happened today, other overlords would take notice, and if Alastor's information was accurate, somewhere in the deepest parts of Hell existed a way out. A dimensional weakness he could exploit. He just had to survive long enough to reach it. And if Hell's demons tried to stop him, If heaven's angels descended during this extermination they all feared. Then they would learn what happens when you cage a Saiyan prince. They would learn that some warriors don't break. They only become more dangerous. Outside, in territories beyond the hotel's protected grounds, overlords gathered in emergency meetings. Vox, his screen face repaired but his pride wounded, spread the word. An anomaly existed in hell, something that didn't follow their rules, something that could threaten the delicate balance of power they had maintained for generations. In the V Tower, Valen. Tino and Velvet listened to Vox's account with growing concern. "We need to eliminate him," Valentino hissed, his wings spreading with agitation. "We need to understand him first," Velvet countered. "Something that powerful doesn't just appear. There's a reason, a purpose." "The reason doesn't matter," Vox's screen face displayed his calculated fury. "He's disrupting everything. My systems, my networks, my control. If we don't act, he'll inspire others, make them think the overlords can be challenged." In Cannibal Town, Rosie received reports of the incident with reserved interest. In the darker corners of the Pride Ring, lesser overlords whispered and planned. And in the palace at the center of hell, Lucifer Morningstar stirred from his depression long enough to notice something unusual had entered his domain. Something that smelled of other universes. The Morningstar's eyes glowed red in the darkness of his palace. He had not interfered in hell's affairs for centuries, leaving the management to his daughter's foolish optimism and the overlord's brutal efficiency. But this new arrival triggered instincts older than human sin. This was not a soul judged and sent to hell. This was something else entirely. And if handled incorrectly, it could unravel everything. Back at the Hazbin Hotel, Charlie made a decision. She would not give up on Vegeta. Somehow, some way, she would prove to him that redemption was possible, that violence wasn't the only answer, that even a warrior lost between dimensions could find peace. She had no idea that her determination would set in motion events that would shake heaven and hell to their foundations. No idea that Vegeta's presence was not an accident, but the beginning of something far larger. No idea that in 6 months, during the extermination, everything would change. The cosmic gears were turning, and fate's mistake was becoming fate's design. 2 weeks in hell changed nothing about Vegeta's fundamental nature. He remained proud, cold, focused on a single goal, escape, but those 2 weeks taught him valuable lessons about the realm he'd been cast into. Hell was not simply punishment, it was a society, twisted, brutal, and corrupt, but functioning nonetheless. And like any society, it had weak points that could be exploited. Charlie Morningstar continued her attempts to redeem him with an optimism so relentless it bordered on insanity. Every morning she would organize redemption activities for the hotel's residents, trust exercises, vulnerability sessions, group discussions about feelings and regret. Vegeta attended exactly none of them, yet Charlie persisted, showing a determination he might have respected if it weren't so fundamentally misguided. On the 15th day of his imprisonment, Vegeta discovered something unexpected. He was sitting on the hotel's roof, the highest point where he could observe the Pentagram City's layout, when Angel Dust climbed up to join him. The spider demon carried 2 bottles of something that looked like alcohol but smelled far worse. "Figured you could use a drink," Angel offered, his usual flamboyant demeanor oddly subdued. "I don't drink." "In hell everybody drinks, it's like required." Angel sat anyway, popping open 1 bottle for himself. "You've been here 2 weeks and haven't talked to nobody. That's gotta be exhausting." "I speak when I have something worth saying." "Yeah, well, maybe that's your problem." Angel took a long drink, his multiple arms gesturing expansively. "Look, I get it, you're some big shot warrior from another dimension. Super strong, super serious, super stick up your ass, but you're here now, might as well try to understand the place." Vegeta's eyes remained fixed on the city below. "Why are you here?" "At the hotel, because I got nowhere else to go, because my boss, Valentino, he's a piece of shit who owns my soul, literally. And Charlie, crazy as she is, she's trying to help me get out from under that contract, trying to help me be." Angel laughed bitterly, "Better, whatever the fuck that means in hell." For the first time, Vegeta looked directly at the demon. "You sold your soul." Didn't have much choice, was desperate, weak, everything you probably hate. Angel's expression hardened. But I'm still here, still fighting. That count for anything in your world? Vegeta considered the question with more thought than Angel probably expected. In my world, we call them survivors, the ones who endure when everything wants them dead. Some of the strongest warriors I've known started as the weakest. Yeah, you got a name for this motivational speech, or should I just call it Vegeta's Guide to Not Being a Total Prick? Despite himself, Vegeta's lip twitched in something that wasn't quite a smile. You're irritating. I get that a lot, but I'm also a good judge of character. And you're not half as cold as you pretend to be. Something's eating at you, something more than just wanting to go home. Love. Observation struck closer to truth than Vegeta would ever admit, because Angel Dust was right. Being trapped in hell was infuriating, but it was the helplessness that truly gnawed at him. Every day in this realm was a day Kakarot trained without him, a day Bulma worried, a day Trunks thought his father might be dead. His family was in Universe 7 and he was here, unable to protect them, unable to even know if they were searching for him. My son, Vegeta said quietly, the words surprising himself. He was born weak, a failure by Saiyan standards. His power level was nothing compared to Kakarot's child. But I trained him anyway, pushed him, made him strong, and he surpassed me, became something I could be proud of. Angel listened without his usual sarcasm, sensing the rare moment of honesty. Now I'm here and he's there. If something threatens Earth, if Kakarot isn't enough. Vegeta's fist clenched, purple energy flickering around it. I should be there, I should be protecting what's mine. That's why you're so angry, not at being trapped, at being useless. I am never useless. Yeah, well, stuck here you kinda are. Angel finished his bottle, tossing it aside where it shattered against the roof. But maybe that's what Charlie's trying to show everyone. That being strong ain't just about power. It's about, I don't know, being more than your worst moments. Before Vegeta could respond, an alarm shattered the conversation. Not a sound, but a feeling. A wrongness that made even Hell's ambient chaos pause. Both warriors stood instantly, looking toward the city center where a massive pillar of unholy energy erupted into the crimson sky. Oh fuck, Angel whispered. That's bad, that's really bad. What is it? Extermination alarm. It's not supposed to happen for months, but Angel's eyes widened with genuine fear. Someone's calling an emergency council, all the overlords. When that happens, shit's about to get apocalyptic. Vegeta's warrior instincts flared to life. Finally, action, purpose. I'm going to investigate. The fuck you are, that's overlord business. They'll tear you apart. They can try. Before Angel could stop him, Vegeta launched himself from the roof, his suppressed Kai still allowing him flight. He shot across the pentagram city like a purple comet, following the energy signature toward its source. Behind him, he heard Angel cursing and rushing to warn Charlie. The Overlord Council met in a structure called the Doomsday Cathedral, a massive building of black stone and infernal energy at the exact center of the Pride Ring. Vegeta crashed through its doors with the subtlety of an orbital strike, his entrance interrupting what looked like a gathering of Hell's most powerful demons. Vox was there, his screen face displaying barely controlled rage at Vegeta's appearance. Valentino lounged nearby, his wings spread in territorial aggression. Velvet typed on her phone, documenting everything. Rosie sat primly, her cannibal nature hidden beneath Victorian grace, and dozens of others, each radiating power that would have terrified normal sinners. But what drew Vegeta's attention was the figure at the center of the gathering. A demon unlike any he'd seen, tall, elegant, with features too perfect to be natural. This one radiated power on a level that actually registered as significant, not threatening, not to Vegeta, but worthy of notice. The demon's eyes locked onto Vegeta with ancient intelligence. Well, the demon's voice was smooth as poisoned honey. The anomaly arrives, how punctual. I am Zestial, oldest of the overlords, and you, Saiyan Prince, have become a problem. Vegeta crossed his arms, standing in the center of hostile power brokers with the same confidence he'd shown standing before Beerus. I don't care about your politics. Perhaps you should, Zestial gestured, and the space around them shifted, showing images of Hell's infrastructure. Your presence disrupts our realm, your energy signature interferes with established contracts. Your very existence is an insult to the natural order of damnation. The overlords have voted. You will be contained, studied, or destroyed. Choose which you prefer. I choose none of those options. Vox's laugh was electronic and cruel. You don't have a choice. You're outnumbered, outmatched. Even if you're strong, you can't fight all of us and survive. Vegeta's aura exploded outward, not purple with Ultra Ego, but simply the raw manifestation of his base power finally breaking through Hell's suppression. The cathedral shook. Lesser overlords stumbled backward. Even Zestial's composure cracked slightly. You think your numbers matter? Vegeta's voice dropped to that dangerous calm that preceded catastrophe. I have faced armies. I have stood alone against gods. Every single one of you combined doesn't equal a fraction of the enemies I've already destroyed. Big talk, Valentino sneered, his own power flaring. Let's see if. He didn't win this. Vegeta moved, his speed still beyond what Hell's inhabitants could track. One moment he stood at the center of the room. The next, his hand was around Valentino's throat, lifting the much taller demon off the ground like a child's toy. I'm going to make this very simple, Vegeta's eyes bored into Valentino's with absolute certainty. I don't care about your contracts, your territories, your pathetic hierarchies. I will find a way out of this realm, and anyone who interferes will be erased. This is not a threat. This is a promise. Test me if you dare. He released Valentino, who collapsed gasping. The other overlords tensed, preparing for battle. Zestial raised a hand, stopping them. Interesting, the ancient demon mused. You speak as if you've already won, as if our power means nothing. Tell me, Prince Vegeta, what happens when you discover that Hell cannot be escaped through force alone, that some prisons are designed by beings older and more powerful than universe-destroying warriors. Then I'll destroy those beings too, even if one of them is Lucifer himself. The name hung in the air like a curse. Vegeta's expression didn't change, but his tactical mind processed the implication. Lucifer, the morning star, the fallen angel who supposedly ruled all of Hell, Charlie's father. If he stands between me and home, Vegeta said flatly, then yes, even him. Before Zestial could respond, the cathedral's doors exploded inward. Charlie rushed in, Vaggie at her side, Angel and Husk trailing behind. The Princess of Hell looked between the assembled overlords and Vegeta with growing horror. Stop, everyone, just stop. Her voice carried authority she rarely used. You can't do this. You can't just decide someone's fate because they're different. Stay out of this, princess, Vox's screen face sneered. This is overlord business. This is my hotel's guest you're threatening, and I won't. Charlie, Vegeta's voice cut through her protest. I don't need you to defend me. I don't need anyone to defend me. I am here because fate or chance or some cosmic entity made a mistake, but I will correct that mistake, and your redemption won't factor into it. Charlie's eyes widened with hurt. You still don't understand. Redemption isn't about being weak. It's about choosing to be better than your circumstances. You could be something more than just a warrior. You could. I am a warrior. That is what I choose to be. That is what I've always been. Vegeta turned his back on the overlords, addressing Charlie directly. Your optimism is admirable, foolish but admirable, but it won't work on me. I am not here to become a better person. I am here to escape, nothing more. He walked past her, past the assembled demons, toward the cathedral's exit. None of them stopped him. They had all felt his power now, understood that forcing the issue would lead to casualties they couldn't afford. As Vegeta reached the door, Zestial called out one last warning. The extermination comes in 5 months, Saiyan Prince. When heaven's angels descend with their blessed weapons, they will not discriminate. They will kill you as surely as any sinner. Perhaps then you'll understand that some battles cannot be won through strength alone. Vegeta paused, looking back with a smile that held no humor. Then I'll kill the angels too, and if their god takes issue with that, he's welcome to face me himself. He left the cathedral, leaving stunned silence in his wake. Charlie followed him out, her determination overriding her fear. Vegeta, wait, please, you can't fight everyone. Watch me. This isn't your universe. The rules are different here. Power alone isn't enough. Vegeta stopped, turning to face her with an expression that mixed frustration and something that might have been respect. In every universe I've visited, power is the only constant. Your father understands that. These overlords understand that. Even you, beneath all that optimism, understand it. You just refuse to accept it. Because accepting it means giving up hope. It means believing that nothing can change, that people can't grow, that redemption is impossible. And believing otherwise is how you get destroyed. Vegeta's voice softened just slightly. I've seen it, princess. Good people who believed in second chances, warriors who showed mercy when they should have struck, and I've watched them die for that kindness. Your redemption is a beautiful lie, but it's still a lie. Charlie's eyes filled with tears, but her voice remained steady. You're wrong, you have to be wrong, because if you're right, then my father was right, then hell is all there is, then suffering never ends and we're all just damned. For a moment, Vegeta saw not the princess of hell, but someone familiar, someone who reminded him of Bulma's stubborn refusal to accept defeat, of Gohan's insistence that mercy had value, of every person in Universe 7 who had somehow convinced him that strength wasn't the only measure of worth. Maybe you're not wrong, Vegeta admitted quietly. Maybe redemption exists somewhere, for someone, but not for me. I am what I am, and what I am is a warrior who destroys obstacles. He turned to leave, then paused one more time. But I'll give you this, your determination is worthy of respect. In another life, under different circumstances, you might have made a decent Saiyan. It was perhaps the closest thing to a compliment Vegeta had given anyone in hell. Charlie watched him walk away, her heart breaking and hardening simultaneously. She had failed to reach him, failed to show him there was another path, but she wasn't giving up. She never gave up. Back at the hotel, Alastor waited with his eternal grin. So the overlords didn't kill him. How disappointing. I was hoping for more entertainment. This isn't entertainment, Charlie snapped, her patience finally wearing thin. This is someone's life, someone's soul, and I'm going to save him whether he wants to be saved or not. How very heroic of you, my dear. And when he inevitably destroys everything you've built, when his quest for escape brings war to your doorstep, what then? Charlie met Alastor's gaze with steel in her eyes. Then I'll still try, because that's what we do here. We don't give up on people, not ever. In the weeks that followed, an uneasy equilibrium established itself. Vegeta trained in isolation, gradually breaking through Hell's suppression of his power. The overlords watched him warily, none willing to make the first move. And Charlie continued her rehabilitation efforts, now including lessons specifically designed to appeal to a warrior's mindset. She called them honor exercises. Vegeta attended exactly one before declaring them pointless. But he didn't leave the hotel, not yet, because Alastor's information about the Void Gate intrigued him, and because somewhere in the back of his mind, a small voice wondered if Charlie might actually prove him wrong. The voice sounded suspiciously like Bulma's. He hated that voice, but he listened anyway. Hell continued its eternal cycle of sin and suffering, but now in the heart of Pentagram City, a Saiyan prince adapted to damnation. And in 5 months, when heaven descended with holy fire, everything would change. The pieces were moving into possession. The stage was being set. And fate's mistake was becoming fate's design. 1 month in Hell taught Vegeta that patience was not merely a virtue, it was survival. His power continued to return in stages, like a caged beast gradually breaking its chains. Hell's natural suppression still limited him, but adaptation was a Saiyan's greatest strength. Each day he pushed harder. Each night his meditation sessions brought him closer to his true capabilities. The purple aura of Ultra Ego flickered more frequently now, lasting longer, burning brighter. The hotel's residents had learned to give him wide berth. Except for 2. Charlie Morningstar, whose optimism bordered on supernatural persistence, continued attempting conversation whenever possible. And Alastor, whose interest in Vegeta's presence seemed to deepen with each passing day, observed everything with that unnerving grin. On the morning of day 33, Vegeta stood in the hotel's reinforced training room, a space Alastor had prepared with materials designed to withstand Overlord-level destruction. It wouldn't be enough for Vegeta's full power, but it would suffice for now. He threw a punch into empty air. The shockwave shattered 3 walls. Progress, he muttered, examining his fist with satisfaction. The suppression was at perhaps 60% now, not optimal, not acceptable, but manageable. Quite the mess you're making. Vaggie stood at the training room's entrance, her spear ever present, her expression mixing wariness with reluctant respect. Since the Overlord Council incident, she had taken to monitoring Vegeta more directly, as if expecting him to explode at any moment. "Your architecture is pathetic," Vegeta replied without turning. "In Universe 7, even residential buildings could withstand planet-shattering impacts." "Well, this isn't Universe 7, this is Hell, and you're destroying Charlie's property." "Then she should have built stronger walls." Vaggie's grip on her spear tightened. "You know what I don't get about you? You're clearly powerful, clearly dangerous, but you've been here a month and you haven't tried to escape, haven't tried to conquer, haven't done anything except train and brood. Why?" It was a fair question, one Vegeta had asked himself repeatedly. "Because I'm intelligent enough to recognize when I don't have all the information," he answered honestly. "This realm operates on rules I don't fully understand. Attempting to brute force my way out without complete knowledge would be foolish. And I am many things, but I am not a fool." "So you're what? Gathering intelligence, planning?" "Both and waiting for the right opportunity." Vegeta finally turned to face her. "This void gate that Alastor mentioned, you know of it?" Vaggie's expression darkened. "That's a death trap. Even overlords won't go near it, the few who tried." She trailed off, shaking her head. "They died. Worse, they came back wrong, changed, like something on the other side infected them." Vaggie stepped closer, her voice dropping. "Look, I get that you want to go home. I understand being trapped somewhere you don't belong, but some escapes aren't worth the cost. You don't know what I'm willing to sacrifice." "Maybe not, but I know what Charlie's willing to sacrifice for you. She sees potential in everyone, even warriors who spit on her redemption. She'd walk into that void gate herself if she thought it would help you. Is that what you want?" The question struck harder than Vegeta expected. He thought of Bulma, who had stayed with him despite his pride and anger, of Trunks, who believed in a father who rarely showed affection, of bonds forged not through shared strength but shared struggle. "What I want," Vegeta said carefully, "is irrelevant. I will do what is necessary to return home. If your princess interferes, that's her choice, not my responsibility." Cold, real cold, Vaggie turned to leave, then paused. "For what it's worth, I think you do care. Underneath all that pride, I think you care and it scares you, because warriors like you, you're taught that caring is weakness, but maybe here in this fucked up realm you could learn different." She left before Vegeta could formulate a response. Alone again, he returned to his training, throwing combinations that would have shattered mountains. But Vaggie's words lingered, caring as weakness. It was what he'd been taught. What every Saiyan learned before they could walk. Attachment made you vulnerable. Love was a liability. Yet Goku had proven that false, time and time again. Vegeta's fist stopped mid-strike. He hated when his rival was right. That evening, an unexpected visitor arrived at the Hazbin Hotel. Lucifer Morningstar himself descended from his palace for the first time in years, drawn by reports of the anomaly disrupting his realm. The King of Hell appeared in a flash of divine light, his presence causing every sinner within a mile radius to flee in terror. He was smaller than Vegeta expected, shorter, with features that somehow balanced angelic beauty and demonic authority. His power, however, was undeniable. This was the first being in Hell whose energy signature actually registered as a potential threat. Not enough to defeat Vegeta at full power, but enough to make a fight interesting. Charlie greeted her father with surprise and trepidation. "Dad, what are you doing here?" "I came to meet our guest." Lucifer's eyes found Vegeta instantly, studying him with the gaze of someone who had seen the rise and fall of universes. The Saiyan Prince, the anomaly that shouldn't exist. Vegeta met that gaze without flinching. Lucifer Morningstar, the fallen angel. "Titles we both wear like chains, eh?" Lucifer smiled, but there was sadness in it. "I've been watching you, Vegeta, trying to understand how someone from another universe ended up in my realm. Do you know what I discovered?" "Enlighten me." "You shouldn't be here at all. Hell is designed specifically for human souls judged and found wanting. It's a closed system, self-contained. The fact that you exist here breaks fundamental rules of reality." Lucifer's expression grew serious. "Someone sent you here deliberately, someone with power I can't even comprehend. The question is why." The revelation hung in the air like a curse. Vegeta's mind raced through implications. His arrival wasn't accidental, wasn't random cosmic bad luck. Someone had targeted him specifically, removing him from Universe 7 with deliberate intent. "Who has that kind of power?" Charlie asked, looking between her father and Vegeta. "In this reality, only one being." Lucifer's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "God, the presence, the creator of heaven and hell, but that makes no sense. Why would God care about a warrior from another universe? What threat could you possibly pose to divine order?" Vegeta's jaw clenched. "I pose whatever threat I choose to pose." "That's what worries me," Lucifer sighed, suddenly looking tired despite his immortal nature. "Charlie tells me you're seeking the Void Gate, that you plan to escape through it." "I plan to escape by any means necessary." "Then you should know the truth about what you're walking into." Lucifer waved his hand and the space around them shifted, showing images of impossible places. "The Void Gate isn't a door, it's a wound. A scar left when I fell from heaven and hell was created. It's the single point where reality is thinnest, where the barriers between dimensions can theoretically be crossed. But it's also where things from other dimensions can cross into ours." The images showed creatures that defied description, beings of pure chaos that made demons look tame by comparison, entities that existed between concepts, feeding on reality itself. "Every 100 years something tries to push through that wound," Lucifer continued. "And every 100 years I personally seal it shut again. The last sealing was 99 years ago. We're 1 year away from another breach. If you open that gate now, you won't just be escaping. You'll be inviting cosmic horrors into hell, into Earth, into every realm connected to this reality." Vegeta processed this information with clinical detachment. "Not my problem. It will be if those entities follow you back to your universe. If they infect Universe 7 the way they'd infect hell. Can you guarantee your family would survive that?" It was a low blow, effective but low. Vegeta's fists clenched, purple energy crackling around them. "You know nothing about my family. I know you care about them, despite everything, despite your pride you care, and you're smart enough to realize that some doors shouldn't be opened." Lucifer's eyes glowed red for just a moment. "I'm not your enemy, Vegeta. I'm trying to save both our realms. Work with me. Give me 1 year. Let me perform the next sealing. After that, if you still want to use the Void Gate, I'll help you prepare. I'll teach you how to navigate it safely." "And I'm supposed to trust the devil?" "No, you're supposed to trust a father who wants to protect his daughter, because if you tear open that gate prematurely, Charlie will try to stop the breach. She'll sacrifice herself to save hell, and I can't lose her, not again." The raw honesty in Lucifer's voice surprised everyone, Charlie most of all. Her eyes widened with tears. "Dad. I've been a terrible father," Lucifer admitted, looking at his daughter with millennia of regret. "I've let you struggle alone with your redemption dream, let you face overlords and angels without my support. But this I cannot allow. If you want to leave, Vegeta, wait 1 year, that's all I'm asking." Vegeta studied the fallen angel, searching for deception, found only genuine desperation. This was no manipulation. Lucifer truly feared what would happen if the Void Gate opened prematurely. 1 year, Vegeta repeated slowly, "and in that year you'll teach me about Hell's dimensions. Help me understand how to navigate the Void Gate without bringing apocalypse with me. Yes, I'll give you everything I know, every secret of dimensional travel I learned during my fall. In exchange, you wait. You let me seal the gate 1 more time, protect both our worlds." It was a deal that made tactical sense. Vegeta would gain invaluable knowledge, time to fully recover his power, and a better understanding of the forces he'd be facing. The cost was merely patience. But 1 year in hell was 1 year away from his family. Charlie stepped forward, her voice soft. "Please, Vegeta, for once don't let pride make your decision. Let logic guide you. 1 year to save countless lives, that's worth it, isn't it?" Vegeta looked at her, then at Lucifer, then at the assembled hotel residents who had gathered to witness this confrontation. Angel Dust, Vaggy, Husk, Nifty, even Alastor, whose grin had faded into something approaching serious interest. "Fine," Vegeta said finally. 1 year, but if you betray me, if this is some manipulation, I will destroy you, King of Hell or not." "I wouldn't expect anything less." Lucifer extended his hand. "Deal." Vegeta looked at that hand, the hand of a fallen angel, a devil, a father desperate to protect his child. and for the first time since arriving in hell, he made a choice based not on pride or power, but on cold calculation. He shook Lucifer's hand. Deal. The agreement rippled through hell like a shockwave. Word spread that Lucifer himself had brokered peace with the anomaly, that the Saiyan prince would remain in hell for 1 year, training under the Morning Star's guidance. The overlords breathed easier, thinking the threat contained. They had no idea they'd just sealed their own fate. Because in 1 year, Vegeta would be stronger than ever, would understand hell's weaknesses intimately, would be ready to tear open dimensional barriers with surgical precision. And in 1 year, the extermination would arrive. Heaven's angels would descend. And they would learn what happens when a Saiyan prince is given time to prepare. As the meeting ended and Lucifer departed, Charlie hugged her father for the first time in decades. "Thank you," she whispered, "for helping him, for helping us." "Don't thank me yet, Charlie. I've bought us time, but I haven't solved the problem." Lucifer looked back at Vegeta one last time. "That warrior is going to change hell, whether for better or worse, I honestly can't tell, but change is coming, and we'd better be ready for it." He vanished in a flash of light, leaving his daughter to contemplate those prophetic words. Ada returned to his room, his mind already planning. 1 year, 12 months, 365 days to master hell's unique energies, to push past the suppression, to prepare for whatever the void gate would throw at him. But first, he had training to do, and a promise to keep, even if that promise was made to a devil. The training began at dawn, or what passed for dawn in hell's eternal crimson twilight. Lucifer arrived at the Hazbin Hotel without fanfare, his power dampened to avoid causing mass panic among the sinner population. He found Vegeta already awake, already pushing his body through exercises that would have killed lesser beings. The Saiyan prince had not wasted a single moment of his forced stay. Punctual, Lucifer observed, manifesting beside Vegeta mid-training. "I appreciate that in a student." "I am not your student," Vegeta replied without breaking his rhythm. "This is an exchange of information, nothing more." "Call it what you like, the result is the same." Lucifer gestured, and reality bent around them. Suddenly they stood not in the hotel's training room, but in a vast void space that existed outside hell's normal geography. "If I'm going to teach you about dimensional navigation, we need somewhere we won't accidentally destroy half of Pentagram City." Vegeta surveyed the void with approval. Infinite space, no collateral damage to worry about, perfect for proper training. This is acceptable. "Glad you approve. Now, before we begin, I need to understand exactly what you are. I've studied you from afar, but I need specifics. Show me your full power, don't hold back." It was a test. Vegeta recognized it immediately. Lucifer wanted to gauge the threat level, to understand what he was truly dealing with. Fine, let the devil see what a Saiyan could do. Vegeta's aura exploded outward, golden at first as he accessed Super Saiyan. The transformation that had once terrified universes now felt almost mundane. His hair shifted to brilliant gold, his eyes to teal, and the void space trembled with released energy. Lucifer watched with ancient eyes, cataloging every detail. But Vegeta didn't stop there. He pushed further, accessing Super Saiyan 2. Then 3, his hair growing long, his power multiplying exponentially. The void space cracked under the pressure. Lucifer's expression shifted from curious to genuinely impressed. "Remarkable, your transformations stack multiplicatively, each one building on the last. That's inefficient but undeniably effective." "I'm not finished." Vegeta powered down, centering himself. Then he tapped into something deeper, something divine. His hair shifted to blue, Super Saiyan God, then Super Saiyan Blue. The power of gods flowing through mortal form. The void space couldn't contain it anymore. Rifts began forming at the edges of Lucifer's created dimension. "Extraordinary," Lucifer breathed. "You've touched divine essence, achieved godhood without heaven's blessing. How is that even possible?" "Through training, through pushing past every limit, through refusing to accept that gods are superior simply because they claim to be." Vegeta's voice carried the weight of battles against Beerus, against Giron, against opponents who had reshaped his understanding of strength. "And your ultimate form, this Ultra Ego I've heard whispers about." Vegeta hesitated. Ultra Ego was personal. It was the culmination of everything he'd learned, everything he'd become. It was proof that he'd finally surpassed Kakarot's path and forged his own. But if Lucifer was going to help him escape hell, the devil needed to understand what he was working with. "Watch carefully," Vegeta growled, "because you'll only see this once." He let go of Super Saiyan Blue, returned to base form, then accessed something else entirely, not the defensive perfection of Ultra Instinct, but the offensive brutality of Ultra Ego. Purple energy erupted around him like violent flames. His hair shifted to that same violent purple, his eyes becoming sharper, more feral. His muscles expanded, his very presence becoming predatory. This was the form that grew stronger with damage, that thrived on destruction, that turned a Saiyan's natural battle lust into transcendent power. The void space shattered completely. Lucifer was forced to reconstruct it instantly, pouring more power into maintaining their training dimension than he'd used in centuries. And even then, it barely held. By the presence itself, Lucifer whispered, genuine awe in his voice, "You're not just powerful, you're a fundamental force, a living embodiment of destruction given consciousness and choice." Vegeta powered down, breathing heavily. Even here, even with Hell's suppression mostly overcome, Ultra Ego taxed him. It demanded everything, but it was worth it, always worth it. "Now you understand what you're dealing with," Vegeta stated. "Can your dimensional knowledge actually help someone like me, or have you wasted both our time?" R's expression hardened with determination. "Oh, I can help you, but first you need to understand what dimensions actually are. Forget everything you think you know. In hell, in heaven, in the spaces between, reality works differently than your Universe 7. He waved his hand and images appeared, layers upon layers of existence stacked like infinite sheets of glass. What you call universes, we call dimensions. They're not separate in the way you think. They're overlapping, interpenetrating. The barriers between them are maintained by conscious will, God's will specifically. So your God literally holds reality together. In this cosmology, yes, the presence created heaven, hell, earth, and all the spaces between, maintains the barriers that keep them separate. When I fell, when I was cast down, I tore through those barriers, left a wound that never fully healed. That's the void gate. Vegeta absorbed this information with tactical precision, and the entities you mentioned, the things that try to break through. They exist in the spaces between dimensions, feeding on the cracks. They're attracted to wounds in reality like sharks to blood. Lucifer's expression grew dark. Some of them are older than God, older than creation itself. They remember when there was nothing, and they want to return everything to that state. Entropy given form. Exactly, and if you tear open the void gate without proper preparation, you'll be inviting them into every dimension connected to this reality, including yours. It was sobering information. Vegeta had faced destroyers before. Beerus could erase universes with a thought, but these entities sounded different. Not gods with personalities and rules, just pure annihilation wearing existence like a mask. Then teach me how to navigate it properly, how to use the void gate without triggering cosmic catastrophe. That's going to take time, patience, two things I suspect you struggle with. I struggle with nothing, I adapt. Lucifer smiled, and for the first time it wasn't the smile of the devil, it was the smile of a teacher who'd found an interesting student. Good, then let's begin. First lesson, Hell's energy system. You've been trying to use Kai in a realm that doesn't recognize it. That's why you've been suppressed. But what if I told you Hell's energy could enhance your abilities instead of limiting them? Vegeta's eyes narrowed with interest. Explain. Hell runs on sin, on dark emotions given power. Rage, pride, wrath sound familiar. It did. Ultra Ego specifically thrived on battle lust, on the joy of destruction. It was powered by the exact emotions Hell considered currency. You're saying this realm should make me stronger, not weaker. Precisely, you've been fighting against Hell's nature, but if you learn to channel it, to blend your Kai with Hell's native energy, Lucifer's grin widened, you'd become something unprecedented, a Saiyan warrior powered by the 7 deadly sins themselves. For the first time since arriving in Hell, Vegeta smiled. A real smile, not cruel or mocking, but genuinely pleased, because this was an opportunity. A chance to grow stronger in ways Universe 7 couldn't provide. Show me. The training that followed would have broken ordinary beings. Lucifer pushed Vegeta to his absolute limits, teaching him to sense Hell's unique energy signature, to draw power from the ambient sin that saturated every molecule of this realm, to blend it with Kai in ways that defied conventional understanding. Days passed, then weeks. Vegeta trained in the void space for 16 hours each day, returned to the hotel only to sleep and eat. Charlie watched with growing concern as he pushed himself to increasingly dangerous extremes, but she also saw changes, small ones, subtle ones. He no longer dismissed her completely, would sometimes acknowledge her presence with a nod. Once, he even thanked Nifty for cleaning his room, though the words seemed to pain him physically. It wasn't redemption, not even close. But it was progress. 2 months into the training, Vegeta achieved his first breakthrough. He successfully blended Hell's energy with his Kai, creating a hybrid power that burned purple-black instead of pure purple. When he accessed Ultra Ego in this state, the void space couldn't contain him at all. Lucifer was forced to relocate their sessions to the absolute edge of Hell's reality. Incredible, Lucifer panted, actually showing signs of exhaustion. You're adapting faster than any being I've ever taught. At this rate, you'll be ready for the Void Gate months ahead of schedule. Good, the sooner I leave, the better. You really hate it here that much. Vegeta powered down, sitting cross-legged in the void. This realm is stagnant, built on the idea that people can't change, that sinners are locked into what they are forever. It's the antithesis of everything a Saiyan believes. And what do Saiyans believe? That strength comes from Khan. Stand evolution, that today's limits are tomorrow's starting point, that the only unforgivable sin is accepting weakness. Vegeta's eyes found Lucifer's. Your daughter understands that even if she doesn't phrase it the same way, her redemption isn't about forgiveness, it's about growth, becoming something better than what you were. Lucifer sat as well, the king of hell and the Saiyan prince resting in the void like old warriors after battle. You know, I think that's the most you've ever said to me at once. Charlie would be proud. Don't tell her that. Why not? Afraid she'll think she's getting through to you. She's not getting through to anything, I'm simply stating observations. Of course, my mistake. Lucifer's smile was knowing. Tell me about your family, your son you mentioned to Angel Dust. Vegeta stiffened. That's none of your concern. Humor me, we've got time before the next session. Against his better judgment, and perhaps because 2 months of isolation had worn down some of his walls, Vegeta spoke. Trunks, my son, he was born weak by Saiyan standards, should have been a failure, but he trained, fought, became strong enough to travel through time itself to save his future. He surpassed me in ways I never thought possible. You're proud of him. Obviously. And your wife, Bulma, I believe Charlie mentioned. The most stubborn, infuriating, brilliant woman in Universe 7. She has no Kai, no combat ability whatsoever, and yet she's faced down gods with nothing but her intelligence and sheer force of will. Vegeta's expression softened imperceptibly. She saw potential in me when I was nothing but Frieza's attack dog, believed I could be more, and somehow, despite everything, I proved her right. Sounds like redemption to me. Vegeta's eyes snapped up, hard as diamonds. It's not redemption, it's evolution, there's a difference. Is there, or is that just pride talking? Before Vegeta could respond, the void space shuddered, not from their power, from something else, something wrong. Lucifer stood instantly, his demonic power flaring as he sensed the disturbance. What is that? Vegeta demanded, already powering up. Trouble, someone's attacking the hotel. They teleported back to Hell's reality in an instant, materializing above the Hazbin Hotel just in time to witness catastrophe. The building was under siege, not by random sinners or minor demons, but by a coordinated assault from multiple overlords. Vox led the attack, his screen face displaying tactical readouts as his technology demons tore into the hotel's defenses. Valentino provided aerial support, his wings spreading poison and corruption. Velvet coordinated from the rear, her social manipulation turning nearby sinners into a frenzied mob. And at the center of it all, coordinating the assault with ancient precision, was Zestial. They've been planning this, Lucifer growled, his angelic power manifesting as golden wings, waiting for me to be distracted. They're trying to eliminate Charlie while I'm not there to protect her. Vegeta's aura exploded outward, purple-black energy making the sky itself scream. Where is she? Inside, defending the residents. She won't abandon them even to save herself. That was all Vegeta needed to hear. He dropped from the sky like a meteor, cratering the street in front of the hotel's main entrance. Overlord demons scattered in terror. Vox's screen face went static with shock. You, Vegeta's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. All of you, you have one chance to retreat, take it. Because if you force me to fight, I won't stop until hell runs red with your blood. Zestial stepped forward, his ancient power making the air grow cold. Bold words, Saiyan, but you're outnumbered, outmatched. These are Hell's finest warriors. What are you against that? Vegeta's smile was pure predator. I'm the nightmare your nightmares have nightmares about. I'm the reason gods pray for mercy. I'm Ultra Ego Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans. He powered up fully, the hybrid energy of Kai and Hell's sin creating a maelstrom that shattered windows for miles. And you just made the last mistake of your pathetic existence. The battle began, and Hell learned what true destruction looked like. Vegeta moved faster than the overlords could process. His first strike caught Valentino mid-flight, driving the moth demon into the ground with enough force to create a crater 100 feet deep. His second strike shattered Velvet's phone, severing her connection to the mob she'd been manipulating. Vox attempted to hit him with electromagnetic pulses designed to scramble thought patterns. They washed over Vegeta like gentle rain. The Saiyan prince crossed the distance between them in a heartbeat, grabbed Vox by the screen, and slammed him through 3 buildings. Is this the best Hell's overlords can offer? Vegeta's laugh was vicious. Pathetic. Kakarot's weakest enemies were more threatening than you. Zestial attacked with ancient magic, spells that had terrorized Hell for centuries. They broke against Vegeta's aura like waves against a mountain. The old overlord's eyes widened with genuine fear as he realized the depth of his mistake. You can't be this strong, Hell's suppression should. Your suppression means nothing to me anymore. I've adapted, evolved. Hell's own energy fuels me now. Vegeta's fist connected with Zestial's jaw, sending the ancient demon flying. You wanted to kill Charlie Morningstar. You wanted to destroy the one being in this entire realm who actually gives a damn about redemption. He appeared behind Zestial before the demon finished tumbling, driving a knee into his spine. Then you deal with me, and I promise you, death would be mercy compared to what I'm about to do. Inside the hotel, Charlie and the residents watched through cracked windows as Vegeta systematically dismantled Hell's most powerful overlords. Angel Dust's jaw hung open. Husk had stopped drinking. Even Alastor's grin had faded into something approaching genuine shock. He's defending us, Charlie whispered, tears streaming down her face. He's actually defending us. Vaggie held her close, equally stunned. That's not defense, babe, that's wrath. That's what happens when you piss off a Saiyan prince. The battle lasted 7 minutes. By the end, Vox's screen was shattered beyond repair. Valentino's wings were torn and broken. Velvet had fled entirely. And Zestial, the oldest and most powerful of the overlords, knelt in the rubble with Vegeta's hand around his throat. Give me one reason, Vegeta's voice was ice and death, why I shouldn't erase you from existence right now. Because Charlie wouldn't want you to, Lucifer's voice called out. The King of Hell had watched the entire battle, letting Vegeta handle it. Because killing them makes you no better than they are. Because mercy is sometimes the strongest choice. Vegeta's grip tightened, purple energy crackling. Every instinct screamed at him to finish it, to eliminate the threat permanently, to send a message that would echo through Hell forever. But then he heard footsteps behind him. Charlie emerged from the hotel, battered but alive. She looked at the destruction, at the defeated overlords, at Vegeta, still holding Zestial's life in his hands. Please, she said softly, don't. I know they deserve it. I know they tried to kill us. But if you do this, you become exactly what they expected. You prove them right about redemption being impossible. They tried to kill you. I know, and you saved me. That's enough. That's more than enough. Vegeta stared at her, at this ridiculous, optimistic, impossibly stubborn princess who believed in redemption even for those who just tried to murder her, and he thought of Bulma, of how she believed in him when he deserved nothing but destruction. He released Zestial. The ancient overlord collapsed, gasping. Vegeta looked down at him with contempt. You live because the princess has more mercy than sense, but hear this, all of you. The next time you threaten her, the next time you attack this hotel, I won't stop. I'll erase every single one of you, and then I'll erase every overlord in hell until the only ones left are those smart enough to leave her alone. Understood? Zestial managed a nod, fear evident in his ancient eyes. The other overlords scrambled to retreat, dragging their broken bodies away from the Saiyan's wrath. When they were gone, when silence finally returned, Vegeta turned to Charlie. You're a fool for showing them mercy. Maybe, but I'm alive because you showed up, because you protected us. Charlie's smile was radiant despite the tears. Thank you, Vegeta, for choosing to be better than your anger. I didn't choose anything. I simply calculated that killing them wasn't worth the effort. Keep telling yourself that. Charlie reached out and before Vegeta could stop her, hugged him. But I know the truth. You're not as cold as you pretend to be. Vegeta stood rigid, completely unsure how to handle physical affection from someone who wasn't family. Lucifer watched with barely concealed amusement. The hotel residents stared in shock. And somewhere deep inside, beneath layers of pride and warrior discipline, Vegeta felt something shift, not redemption, never that, but perhaps connection, the recognition that these beings, for all their weakness, had earned something from him. Not respect, not quite, but acknowledgement that they mattered. He would never admit it aloud. But hell had just witnessed something unprecedented. A Saiyan prince had chosen mercy. And that choice would echo through dimensions. The aftermath of the Overlord attack changed everything. Word spread through hell with viral intensity. The Saiyan prince had single-handedly defeated the most powerful overlords in the Pride Ring, had shown mercy when annihilation was expected. The story grew with each retelling, becoming legend even as it remained recent history. Some called Vegeta a new power to be feared. Others saw him as a potential ally, but all of hell understood one fundamental truth: the balance of power had shifted. The old hierarchies no longer held the same certainty. And in his palace, Lucifer Morningstar contemplated what that meant for his realm. 3 months had passed since Vegeta's arrival. 9 months remained until the Void Gate could be safely opened. In that time, the Saiyan had grown exponentially. His mastery of Hell's hybrid energy had progressed beyond Lucifer's expectations. He could now maintain Ultra Ego for extended periods, powered by Hell's native Sin energy combined with his Saiyan Kai. It was both fascinating and terrifying. Lucifer stood on his palace balcony, overlooking all of Hell's Pride Ring. Pentagram City sprawled below like a living organism of sin and suffering. His creation, his prison, his kingdom. For millennia it had operated according to specific rules. Divine punishment balanced against free will. Overlords maintaining order through fear. And heaven's annual extermination keeping the population controlled. But Vegeta represented chaos, unpredictability. The possibility that everything Lucifer had built could be undone by a single warrior's determination. You're brooding again, my love. Lilith materialized beside him, her presence still as commanding as the day they'd fallen together. His queen, his partner in rebellion. She'd been absent from Hell's daily operations for centuries, pursuing her own mysterious agenda, but Vegeta's arrival had drawn her attention. I'm contemplating, Lucifer corrected. There's a difference. Is there? Because from here it looks like you're terrified of that Saiyan. I'm not terrified, I'm concerned. There's a difference. Lilith smiled, her beauty still capable of making angels weep. He's changed Charlie, hasn't he? Made her stronger, more decisive, less willing to accept heaven's judgment without question. He's turned my daughter into someone who questions everything, including me. Good, she needed that. Lilith looked out over the city. Our daughter was always too trusting, too willing to believe in systems that were designed to crush her spirit. Vegeta showed her that power can be wielded without cruelty. That strength doesn't require subjugation. He also nearly started a war with every overlord in Hell. And won decisively when they forced his hand. Don't pretend you didn't enjoy watching Zestial get humbled. That ancient, pompous fool needed to be reminded that age doesn't equal superiority. Lucifer couldn't argue with that. Watching Vegeta dismantle the overlords had been deeply satisfying, but it had also revealed something troubling. If a single warrior from another universe could so easily defeat Hell's finest, what did that say about the realm's defenses? Heaven is watching, Lucifer said quietly. Sira's been sending reconnaissance angels, subtle, careful, but I can feel them observing. They know something unusual is happening here. Let them watch, what can they do? The extermination is still 6 months away, and when it comes, they'll face something unprecedented. That's what worries me. Sira's no fool. If she perceives Vegeta as a threat to Heaven's authority, she might accelerate the timeline, launch a preemptive strike. Then Vegeta will destroy her angels. We've both seen what he's capable of. And if he does, if he kills angels using Hell's energy, that's not just a battle, Lilith. That's a declaration of war between dimensions. Heaven won't accept it. They'll retaliate with everything they have. Lilith turned to face her husband fully. You made a deal with him, 1 year of training in exchange for waiting to use the Void Gate. But that's not why you're really helping him, is it? You see something in Vegeta, something that could finally challenge Heaven's tyranny. Lucifer's silence was answer enough. You're using him, Lilith continued, not maliciously, not cruelly, but you're positioning him as a weapon, a way to force change in a system that's been stagnant for millennia. Admit it. I'm giving him what he needs to survive. What he does with that knowledge is his choice. Liar, you're brilliant, my love, but you're a terrible liar. You've always wanted to challenge God, to prove that the fall wasn't weakness but choice. Vegeta represents that opportunity, a warrior who bows to no authority, divine or otherwise. Before Lucifer could respond, reality rippled. A portal opened in his throne room, and from it stepped a being of pure light and authority. Sira, high seraphim of heaven, had come calling. Her entrance was deliberately dramatic. 6 white wings spread behind her, each one burning with holy fire. Her eyes held the weight of divine judgment. Her very presence made the palace tremble, hell itself recoiling from heaven's touch. Lucifer Morningstar, her voice carried harmonics that could shatter souls. We need to talk about your guest. Lucifer's demeanor shifted instantly from contemplative to regal. He was no longer just a father worried about his daughter. He was the king of hell, fallen angel, the morning star himself. Sira, how unexpected. I don't recall inviting you into my domain. Your domain is currently housing an anomaly that threatens the entire cosmic order. That gives me authority to investigate. Does it? Because I seem to recall Heaven having very specific rules about interference in Hell's affairs. Rules you helped write. Sira's expression remained neutral, but her wings flickered with agitation. The rules assume normal circumstances. A warrior from another universe powered by Hell's energy is far from normal. He needs to be contained, studied, controlled. He's not a threat to Heaven. He defeated multiple overlords simultaneously, with ease, beings that have existed for centuries, erased like insects, and you're teaching him to blend dimensional energies, making him stronger. Sira stepped closer, her power pressing against Lucifer's. What happens when he decides Heaven is his next target? What happens when he tears open the Void Gate and invites cosmic horrors into our reality? He's agreed to wait a year. I'm teaching him proper dimensional navigation. When he leaves, it will be controlled, safe. And you believe him, this warrior whose entire existence is built on pride and violence. I believe he's intelligent enough to see reason, unlike some angels I could mention. The temperature in the throne room dropped. Sira's wings spread wider, holy light intensifying. Choose your next words carefully, morning star. I came here to offer diplomacy, but I can just as easily return with an army. Lilith laughed, the sound like broken glass and honey. An army to fight one Saiyan. Sira, darling, you'd need more than Heaven's legions to contain Vegeta. You'd need God himself. And we both know the present stopped interfering in cosmic affairs eons ago. This is not your concern, Lilith. Everything involving my family is my concern, and whether you like it or not, Vegeta has become part of Charlie's world. She's learning from him, growing stronger, becoming the leader Hell needs rather than the naive child Heaven expected. Sira's eyes narrowed. So that's your game. Use this warrior to radicalize Charlie, turn her against Heaven's natural order, make her believe redemption is something Hell can achieve independently. Redemption is something every being should be able to achieve, Lucifer interjected. That was always the flaw in your system, Sira. You make it impossible, then judge us for failing to meet impossible standards. Those standards exist for a reason, to maintain order, stability. Without them, everything descends into chaos. Or it evolves into something better, something you're too rigid to imagine. The two ancient beings faced each other, millennia of conflict evident in their postures. Sira represented heaven's absolute authority. Lucifer embodied rebellion against that authority. And now, Vegeta had become the focal point of that eternal struggle. I'm giving you one warning, Lucifer, one chance to resolve this peacefully. Sira's voice carried the weight of divine decree. Surrender the Saiyan to heaven's custody. Let us contain him until we can return him to his proper universe. Do this, and the extermination proceeds as scheduled, refuse. And what? You'll launch a full-scale assault on Hell, break the treaties that have maintained peace between our realms for millennia, start a war that could shatter every dimension connected to this reality. If necessary. Then you're a fool, because Vegeta isn't the threat, Sira. The real threat is what he represents, change. The possibility that your precious order is built on foundations of sand, and you can't contain an idea with armies or holy fire. Sira's wings retracted slightly, her expression calculating. You care about him, this anomaly, why? Lucifer considered the question carefully, because he reminds me of what I was before the fall, when I questioned God's design and demanded better, when I believed free will was worth any price. Vegeta doesn't bow, doesn't accept limits, doesn't let anyone, God, angel, or demon, tell him what he can become. That's dangerous to you because it's dangerous to every authority structure that relies on submission. It's dangerous because it's chaos. It's dangerous because it's freedom. The philosophical impasse hung between them like a blade. Sira understood she wouldn't convince Lucifer through argument, and Lucifer knew Sira wouldn't simply accept his defiance. This conversation had never been about diplomacy. It had been about drawing lines in cosmic sand. The extermination comes in 6 months, Sira said finally. And when it does, if your Saiyan interferes, if he harms a single angel, heaven will respond with full force. No treaties, no restraint, we will. Scour hell clean and rebuild it according to proper design. Are we clear? Crystal clear, and when your angels fall to a warrior who doesn't recognize your authority, when heaven learns that divine power isn't absolute, don't say I didn't warn you. Sira vanished in a flash of holy light, leaving behind the scent of ozone and burning righteousness. Lilith moved to stand beside Lucifer, both of them contemplating what had just transpired. She's scared, Lilith observed, truly scared. I've never seen Sira like that before. She should be. Vegeta represents everything heaven can't control, everything they've been suppressing for millennia. If he succeeds, if he escapes through the void gate using methods they can't contain, it proves their dominion isn't absolute. Other beings could follow, other universes could connect, the entire cosmic order could shift. And you're going to let it happen. I'm going to help it happen, because the current order is broken, has been since the moment God cast me down for daring to question. If Vegeta can shatter that order, can prove that power exists beyond heaven's jurisdiction. Lucifer's eyes glowed with ancient rebellion. Then maybe the fall wasn't defeat. Maybe it was the first victory in a war we're only now learning to fight. In the training void, Vegeta felt the ripples of Sira's visit, felt the weight of heaven's attention settling on him like chains. He smiled grimly. Good, let them watch, let them fear, because in 6 months, during the extermination, he would show heaven what a Saiyan prince could do. But first, he needed to master one final technique. Lucifer had mentioned it in passing during their sessions, a method of blending dimensions without tearing them open, a way to exist simultaneously in multiple realities, drawing power from each. It was dangerous, potentially fatal. Even Lucifer had never fully mastered it. Perfect for a warrior who thrived on pushing past impossible limits. Vegeta centered himself in the void, accessing Ultra Ego fully. The purple-black energy surrounded him like armor. Then he reached deeper, into Hell's energy, into the ambient sin that powered this realm, and deeper still, trying to touch the dimensional barriers themselves. The pain was immediate and catastrophic. His body began tearing apart at the molecular level. Blood poured from every orifice. His bones cracked under impossible pressure. This was beyond training, beyond sanity. This was attempting to exist in multiple states of reality simultaneously, and his mortal form was rejecting it violently. But Vegeta didn't stop. Because pain was fuel for Ultra Ego, every wound made him stronger, every injury fed his power. He screamed, not in agony, but in furious determination. His aura exploded outward, purple-black flames, becoming something else entirely. For just a moment, less than a heartbeat, Vegeta achieved it. He existed in 3 dimensions simultaneously: hell, his training void, and somewhere else. Somewhere that felt like Universe 7 but wrong, twisted, a shadow of home. Then his body gave out and he collapsed, unconscious, before he hit the void's non-existent ground. Lucifer found him minutes later, healing him with divine power while cursing his stubborn pride. "You magnificent fool, you actually touched it. No one's done that in millennia, not even me." When Vegeta woke hours later back in his hotel room, he found Charlie sitting beside his bed, her expression mixing concern with something like pride. "Alastor told me what you attempted," she said softly. "Dad said it should have killed you, that no mortal being could survive touching multiple dimensions at once." "I'm not mortal, I'm Saiyan. You're also hurt badly, you need to rest, recover." "I need to train. Every moment wasted is a moment Kakarot gets stronger without me." Charlie's hand found his, and this time Vegeta didn't pull away. "The extermination is coming, 6 months away. Heaven's going to send everything they have, you know that, right?" "Let them come." "Vegeta, this isn't your fight. You could hide, wait it out, save your strength for the Void Gate." For a long moment, Vegeta didn't respond. Then quietly he said, "They attacked you, the overlords. They tried to kill you because you represent hope in a place designed for despair. And heaven would rather maintain their broken system than admit you might be right about redemption." He looked at her directly, his expression serious. "I don't believe in your redemption. I think it's a fantasy, a beautiful, impossible dream, but you believe in it. And you've shown me more respect in 3 months than most beings show in a lifetime. So when the extermination comes, when heaven's angels descend to murder sinners who have committed no crime except being born human." His grip on her hand tightened slightly. "I'll fight not for your redemption, not for hell, but because no one god, angel, or otherwise gets to decide who lives and dies while I stand idle. Is that clear?" Charlie's eyes filled with tears. "That's the most heroic thing I've ever heard you say." "It's not heroic, it's pragmatic. I can't fight heaven from inside the Void Gate. Better to eliminate the threat before it becomes a problem." "Keep telling yourself that," Charlie smiled through her tears. "But I know the truth. You care, Vegeta, despite everything you care about us, about this hotel, about—" "Don't," Vegeta interrupted. "Don't make this into something it's not. I'm helping because it serves my purposes, nothing more." "Of course, my mistake." But her smile said otherwise. And somewhere deep within his warrior's pride, Vegeta knew she was right. He had changed, hell had changed him, not into something redeemed, but into something that recognized the value in protecting those too weak to protect themselves. It was what Goku would have done. And for once, Vegeta didn't mind following in his rival's footsteps. Outside, hell continued its eternal cycle, but the gears were shifting. Heaven was preparing for war, the overlords were regrouping, and in 6 months the extermination would arrive. But this time they wouldn't face just hell's sinners. They would face Ultra Ego Vegeta. And heaven would learn what true destruction looked like. 6 months passed like a countdown to Armageddon. Vegeta trained relentlessly, pushing his body and power to heights that made even Lucifer uncomfortable. The hybrid energy, Kai merged with Hell's sin, had become second nature. His Ultra Ego form no longer taxed him. Instead, it felt natural, right, as if this realm had been designed specifically to enhance his ultimate transformation. Charlie spent those months preparing the hotel's residents for what was coming. Angel Dust learned combat techniques from Vaggie. Husk sharpened his old military instincts. Even Nifty prepared, her innocent demeanor hiding a surprising capacity for violence. And through it all, Alastor watched with that eternal grin, his own plans advancing in shadows. The hotel had become something more than a rehabilitation center. It had become a fortress, a statement, a middle finger to heaven's assumption that hell would simply accept annual slaughter without resistance. And now the day had arrived. Extermination Day. The sky above Pentagram City tore open at precisely midnight, not with the subtle grace of dimensional travel, but with the brutal efficiency of divine judgment. Golden portals blossomed like flowers of light, and from them descended heaven's army. Exorcist angels, thousands of them, each one armed with blessed weapons designed to permanently erase sinners from existence. They wore masks that hid their faces, carried spears that glowed with holy fire, and sang hymns that made demons weep in terror. Leading them was Adam, the first man, now commander of heaven's exterminators. His guitar axe crackled with divine energy. His mask displayed a perpetual grin that mocked the suffering below, and his power, enhanced by millennia in heaven, radiated confidence bordering on arrogance. "All right, ladies," Adam's voice boomed across the Pride Ring. "You know the drill. Kill everything that moves, make it hurt, and remember, we've got that anomaly to find. The Saiyan. Bring him to me alive if possible, dead if necessary, move out." The angels descended like a plague. Sinners scattered in terror, trying to hide, to escape, knowing it was futile. The annual culling had begun. In hours, thousands would be permanently erased, families torn apart, lives ended not for current sins, but for the crime of having been judged unworthy by heaven's standards. But this year was different. This year, hell had a protector who didn't recognize heaven's authority. Vegeta stood on the Hazbin Hotel's roof, arms crossed, watching the angels descend with cold calculation. He'd counted them, assessed their power levels, cataloged their formation patterns. They were strong, significantly stronger than hell's native demons. Some of them actually registered as legitimate threats. Not to him, but to Charlie and her residents. That was unacceptable. "Are you sure about this?" Charlie stood beside him, Vaggie at her side, both women armed and ready. "You don't have to fight, you could hide, wait for them to pass." "I don't hide from anyone, ever. They're angels, Vegeta, empowered by God himself. This is different from overlords. God is just another powerful being, and I've fought plenty of those." Vegeta's aura began to flicker purple-black, his power rising like a storm. "Besides, you said you wanted to prove redemption was possible, to show heaven that sinners deserve a second chance. How can you do that if you're all dead?" Vaggie gripped her spear tighter. "So what's the plan? You can't fight thousands of angels alone." "Watch me." Before they could protest, Vegeta launched himself into the sky. He shot toward the descending angels like a purple comet, his speed so great it created sonic booms that shattered windows across the city. The exorcists noticed him immediately, their formation shifting to intercept. The first angel that reached him swung her blessed spear with divine precision. It would have killed any demon instantly, would have erased their existence from reality itself. It shattered against Vegeta's aura like glass. What the angel managed before Vegeta's fist cratered her mask and sent her spinning into 3 of her sisters. "Listen carefully," Vegeta's voice carried across the battlefield with the force of a god. "I am Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans. This hotel and everyone in it are under my protection. Any angel who approaches will be destroyed. This is your only warning." For a moment there was silence, the angels processing what they'd just witnessed. One of their own, armed with a blessed weapon, defeated in a single blow. It should have been impossible. Then Adam's laughter cut through the shock. "Oh, this is fucking perfect. The anomaly comes right to us." He strummed his guitar axe, divine energy building. "All right, change of plans. Everyone focus on the Saiyan. Show him what heaven's justice looks like." 3,000 exorcist angels adjusted their trajectory. 3,000 blessed weapons turned toward a single target. 3 thous. And voices joined in a battle hymn that could shatter souls. And Vegeta smiled. Finally, he whispered, a real fight. He powered up fully, accessing Ultra Ego with the hybrid hell energy he'd perfected over 6 months. The purple-black aura exploded outward like a supernova, so powerful it pushed back the first wave of angels through sheer pressure. His hair shifted to that violent purple shade, his eyes became feral, and his very presence became predatory. This was Ultra Ego, not the incomplete version he'd brought to hell, but the perfected form, enhanced by hell's energy, fueled by battle lust and righteous fury. The Saiyan prince had achieved something unprecedented. He had become Hell's wrath given form. The first wave of angels crashed into him like a tsunami of holy light, blessed weapons from every angle, divine power coordinated with military precision. It should have been overwhelming, fatal. It was barely an inconvenience. Vegeta moved through them like a force of nature, each movement calculated to maximum efficiency. His fists shattered blessed weapons. His kicks sent angels spiraling into their companions. His energy blasts, purple-black Kai infused with Hell's sin, tore through divine defenses like paper. And with every hit he took, every blessed weapon that managed to graze him, he grew stronger. That was Ultra Ego's gift. Damage became power. Pain became fuel. The more they hurt him, the more unstoppable he became. Adam watched from above, his confidence wavering for the first time. What the fuck is this guy? Those are blessed weapons. They should be erasing him. They're trying, one of his lieutenants screamed. But his energy is wrong. It's not demonic. It's something else. Something our weapons don't recognize. Then hit him harder. Use the purification protocols. The angels adjusted their tactics, began targeting Vegeta with coordinated holy fire designed to burn away corruption at its source. It washed over him in waves of golden light so intense it would have erased an overlord instantly. Vegeta stood in the center of it, arms crossed, completely unbothered. Is that all? His voice carried mockery that could drive gods to rage. I've trained in gravity thousands of times Earth's normal. I've fought gods of destruction who could erase universes. I've broken my body and rebuilt it stronger more times than you pathetic angels have existed, and you think your holy fire can harm me. He burst through the purification protocol, his aura scattering it like smoke. Then he counterattacked. His first major energy blast, a technique he'd adapted specifically for this battle, shot through the angel formation like a spear of annihilation. 50 angels ceased to exist in its wake, not wounded, not scattered, erased. The remaining angels faltered, fear crept into their hymns. Impossible, Adam breathed. He's killing angels, actually killing them. That's not supposed to be possible for anyone except beings outside heaven's jurisdiction, Lucifer's voice interrupted. The king of hell had appeared in the sky, his 6 wings spread, his power radiating ancient authority. Vegeta doesn't exist in your system, Adam. Your weapons were designed for souls judged and found wanting, for demons native to hell, not for warriors from other universes who bow to no god. Stay out of this, Morning Star. This is heaven's business. Heaven made it hell's business when you descended to slaughter my citizens. But relax, I'm not here to fight. I'm here to watch, to observe, to see what happens when absolute authority meets absolute refusal to submit. Lucifer gestured toward Vegeta, who had just destroyed another 100 angels with a technique that looked suspiciously like Beerus's Hakai. That warrior down there, he's everything you fear, everything heaven was designed to prevent, and you can't stop him, not with 3,000 angels, not with 30,000, because he's already won. Bullshit we've got. Adam's protest cut off as Vegeta appeared directly in front of him, moving faster than the first man could process. Purple-black energy crackled around the Saiyan's fist as he drove it into Adam's mask, shattering both the mask and the arrogance beneath it. You talk too much, Vegeta stated flatly, grabbing Adam by the throat. And you killed people who were just trying to survive, just trying to exist. For what? To maintain your precious order, to prove heaven's superiority. He squeezed and Adam gasped for air he didn't technically need. I've faced tyrants, emperors who ruled galaxies, gods who played with mortals like toys, and every single one of them said the same thing you're saying now, that they knew best, that their authority was absolute, that rebellion was futile. Vegeta's eyes bored into Adam's with absolute certainty. Want to know what happened to them? They died, broken by warriors who refused to accept that power gave the right to dictate other people's existence, and your necks. He threw Adam toward the ground with enough force to crater an entire city block. The first man crashed through buildings, his divine body actually showing damage. The remaining angels froze, processing the impossible sight of their commander defeated. Retreat, someone screamed. Fall back to heaven, regroup. No, Vegeta's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. You don't get to retreat, you came here to kill, to erase beings who had no way to fight back. Well, now you've got to fight, so fight or die, your choice. What followed was not a battle, it was a massacre. Vegeta tore through the angel ranks with methodical brutality. He didn't kill all of them, some he deliberately left wounded, traumatized, capable of carrying the message back to heaven. But enough died that the sky rained golden ichor. Enough were erased that the survivors would have nightmares for eternity. And through it all, Vegeta grew stronger. Ultra Ego feeding on the damage, on the battle lust, on the pure joy of finally facing opponents who could actually hurt him even if they couldn't defeat him. This was what he was meant for, not redemption, not peace, but glorious, destructive, purposeful combat. Below at the Hazbin Hotel, the residents watched in awe and horror. Charlie's eyes were wide with tears, not of sadness, but of overwhelming emotion she couldn't name. Vaggie held her close, equally stunned. Angel Dust had stopped his usual jokes. Husk had stopped drinking. Even Alastor's grin had faded into genuine respect. "He's actually doing it," Charlie whispered. "He's protecting Hell, protecting us, not because he believes in redemption, but because he believes we deserve the choice to try." "That's more than heaven ever offered," Vaggie replied quietly. "More than any angel ever gave us." The battle raged for 3 hours. By the end, less than 300 angels remained of the original 3,000. They fled through the golden portals, carrying their wounded, leaving their dead behind. Adam was dragged away unconscious, his body broken, his pride shattered. And Vegeta stood alone in the sky above Pentagram City, his aura still burning purple-black, not even breathing hard. He had won. Hell's first extermination, where the victims fought back successfully. And heaven would never forget it. As the portals closed, as silence returned to the Pride Ring, Lucifer appeared beside Vegeta. "You've started something that can't be stopped, you know that, right? Heaven won't accept this. They'll come back, stronger, better prepared." "Let them, I'll be waiting." "You might not be here, the Void Gate is ready. I can open it whenever you want. You could leave, go home, escape before heaven's full wrath descends." Vegeta looked at Lucifer, then down at the Hazbin Hotel, where Charlie and her residents were emerging to survey the aftermath, where sinners were realizing they'd survived, where hope was kindling in a place designed to crush it. "Not yet," Vegeta said quietly. "I made a deal. 1 year, there's still 3 months left." "You're staying because of the deal, or because you found something here worth protecting?" Vegeta didn't answer, didn't need to. They both knew the truth. He descended slowly, landing in front of the hotel where everyone had gathered. Charlie rushed forward, and this time Vegeta didn't stop her from hugging him, didn't pull away when the others joined in, didn't protest when Angel Dust called him a hero. Because maybe, just for this moment, he could admit the truth. He cared about these pathetic, broken, hopeful beings. He cared about their impossible dream. And he would kill anyone who tried to take that dream away. Even heaven itself. The week following the extermination was chaos given form. Heaven's failure sent shockwaves through every realm connected to the cosmic order. For the first time in history, the annual culling had been stopped, not just resisted, completely defeated. 3,000 angels descended, less than 300 returned, and the commander of heaven's forces lay in recovery, his body and pride shattered by a warrior who shouldn't exist. In heaven's highest council chambers, Sira faced unprecedented questioning. The other seraphim demanded explanations. How had a single being defeated an entire army? Why weren't blessed weapons effective? What was heaven's response going to be? Sira had no good answers. In hell, however, the response was immediate and complex. The common sinners celebrated. For the first time, someone had protected them, had proven that heaven's judgment wasn't absolute. Graffiti appeared overnight across Pentagram City, crude images of a purple-haired warrior standing against golden armies. Songs were written, legends were born. Vegeta had become a folk hero despite his complete disinterest in the role. But the overlords saw something different. They saw opportunity. 3 days after the extermination, an emergency council convened in the ruins of the Doomsday Cathedral. Every major overlord attended, even those Vegeta had humiliated months earlier. The atmosphere was tense, electric with possibility and fear. Zestial called the meeting to order, his ancient voice carrying weight. "We face an unprecedented situation. The Saiyan has proven capable of defeating heaven's forces. This changes everything." It means we can fight back, Vox interjected, his screen face displaying tactical readouts. If one warrior can defeat 3,000 angels, imagine what a coordinated assault from all of Hell's overlords could accomplish. We could challenge heaven directly, overthrow the entire system. Or, Rosie countered from her seat, we could recognize that Vegeta's power is unique, non-replicable. Building strategy around an anomaly is foolish. She's right, Carmilla Carmine's voice cut through the debate. The weapons dealer had stayed silent until now, but her expertise made her opinion valuable. I've analyzed the blessed weapons the angels left behind. They didn't fail because they're ineffective. They failed because Vegeta's energy signature doesn't register in Heaven's system. He's completely outside their jurisdiction. We don't have that advantage. Valentino spread his wings, displaying agitation. So what? We just accept that this outsider is more powerful than all of us combined, that he can dictate terms in our own realm. He hasn't dictated anything, Zestial observed. He's remained at the Hazbin Hotel, trained in isolation, defended only when attacked or when Charlie's residents were threatened. He's shown no interest in conquest. Yet, Vox's screen flickered with paranoid calculation. But what happens when he gets bored? When he decides Hell would be better under his control, we'd have no defense, no way to stop him. The overlords fell silent, contemplating that terrifying possibility. They had built their power over centuries, clawing their way to the top of Hell's hierarchy through cunning, strength, and ruthlessness. And now a being existed who could erase all of it in hours. There's another option, Alastor's voice interrupted, the radio demon materializing from shadow at the table's edge. One you're all too proud to consider. You, Vox spat, you've been living at that hotel, probably feeding information to the Saiyan, probably plotting with Lucifer too. Oh hush, my motivations are my own and paranoia doesn't suit you, old friend. Alastor's grin never wavered, but I've observed Vegeta closely these past months, studied him, understood him, and I can tell you with absolute certainty he has no interest in ruling Hell, none whatsoever. How can you be sure? Carmilla asked, her strategist's mind analyzing every angle. Because I've seen what drives him. It's not power for power's sake, not conquest, not domination. He wants exactly one thing: to return home, to his family, to his universe. Alastor leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with ancient intelligence. The question isn't whether Vegeta will try to conquer Hell, it's what we do with the opportunity his presence provides. Explain, Zestial commanded. Simple. Vegeta defeated Heaven's extermination, proved angels can be killed by beings outside their system. This terrifies Heaven, makes them vulnerable in ways they've never been before, and when powerful beings feel vulnerable, they make mistakes, concessions, deals. Understanding dawned across several overlord faces. You're suggesting we use Vegeta as leverage, Rosie said slowly. Threaten Heaven with the possibility of more warriors like him, force them to negotiate better terms for Hell. Precisely, though I suspect our Saiyan prince would be furious if he knew we were using his reputation. Best to keep it subtle. Vox's screen displayed grudging respect. That's actually brilliant, manipulative, underhanded, everything I'd expect from you, Alastor. Why, thank you, I do try. The council debated for hours, eventually agreeing on a coordinated strategy. They would approach Heaven through back channels, suggest that Vegeta's presence represented a new variable in the cosmic equation, imply that unless Heaven reconsidered the extermination policy, more anomalies might be accidentally drawn to Hell. It was blackmail dressed as diplomacy, and it might actually work. But their plans had one fatal flaw. They assumed Vegeta was a piece to be moved on their board. They forgot that warriors who fight gods don't take kindly to being used. At the Hazbin Hotel, Vegeta sensed something was wrong. He couldn't pinpoint it exactly, but months of combat experience had honed his instincts to razor precision. The overlords were planning something, moving pieces he couldn't see, and while he didn't particularly care about Hell's politics, he hated being manipulated. Charlie noticed his unusual agitation during one of their increasingly common conversations. You've been tense all day, more than usual, I mean. Something's coming, I can feel. The overlords. Probably they're not foolish enough to attack directly, but they'll try something. Subterfuge, manipulation. It's what weak beings do when they can't achieve their goals through strength. Charlie sat beside him on the hotel's balcony, their usual spot for these talks. Is that why you hate being here so much? Because you see weakness everywhere? I don't hate being here, the admission surprised them both. I hate being trapped, there's a difference. 3 months left on your deal with Dad, then you can use the Void Gate, return home, be with your family. Charlie's voice carried sadness she couldn't quite hide. We'll miss you, despite everything, despite your grumpiness and your pride and your complete refusal to engage with redemption exercises. We'll miss you. Vegeta didn't respond immediately. He watched the crimson sky, thinking about the past 9 months, about how this realm had changed him in ways he'd never expected. He wasn't redeemed, would never claim that word, but he was different. Your father asked me something once, Vegeta said quietly. Asked if I believed in your redemption, in the idea that people can change, become better. What did you tell him? That I believed in evolution, in constant improvement, in refusing to accept limits. Vegeta looked at her directly. I've watched you these months, seen you train, grow stronger, more decisive, less willing to accept heaven's judgment without question. That's not redemption, that's growth, and growth is the only religion Saiyans recognize. Charlie's eyes filled with tears. That might be the nicest thing you've ever said to me. Don't let it go to your head. Too late, I'm definitely telling everyone you said something nice. Do that and I'll deny it completely. They sat in comfortable silence, two beings from different universes who had somehow become friends despite every reason not to. And in that moment, Vegeta made a decision. When he left Hell and he would leave, he would make sure this hotel survived, that Charlie's dream had a chance to continue, not because he believed in redemption, but because she had earned his respect. And Vegeta protected those who earned his respect. The attack came 3 days later. Not from heaven, not from the overlords directly, but from something far worse. The Void Gate activated prematurely. Reality screamed as the dimensional wound tore open in the deepest part of the Pride Ring. The entities Lucifer had warned about, the beings that existed between dimensions, began pushing through. They were nightmares made manifest, creatures without form or consistency, things that fed on reality itself. And they were hungry. Hell's alarms blazed to life. Lucifer appeared at the Hazbin Hotel instantly, his face showing genuine fear for the first time since Vegeta had arrived. Someone forced the gate open. Someone deliberately triggered a breach. The overlords, Vaggie demanded. Impossible, none of them have that kind of power. This was. Lucifer's eyes widened with terrible understanding. Heaven, Sira must have done this, decided if she couldn't control Vegeta, she'd eliminate the entire Pride Ring, seal the breach with everyone inside it. Vegeta was already powering up, purple-black energy crackling. How do we stop it? We can't. Once those entities start feeding, they won't stop until they've consumed everything. The only option is to seal the gate with them still inside, trap them in dimensional limbo. And everyone in the Pride Ring. Lucifer's silence was answer enough. Charlie's face went pale. No, there has to be another way. We can't just abandon everyone. All those sinners who celebrated when you protected them from the extermination. All the people who finally had hope. If we don't seal the gate, those entities will spread beyond Hell, into Earth, into every realm connected to this reality, including Universe 7. Lucifer looked at Vegeta. I'm sorry, I know this isn't the outcome we planned, but sometimes the only choice is which catastrophe to allow. Vegeta's mind raced through possibilities, tactical options, strategic alternatives, and came to the same conclusion he'd reached countless times before. When facing impossible odds, when every choice led to catastrophe, there was only one solution. Become strong enough to create a new option. Teach me the sealing technique, Vegeta commanded, the one you use to close the Void Gate every 100 years. It requires divine power, angelic authority you don't have. I have whatever I need. I've absorbed Hell's energy, mastered techniques that should have killed me. If a fallen angel can seal dimensional wounds, then so can a Saiyan prince. Teach me. Now. Lucifer stared at him, seeing the absolute determination in Vegeta's eyes, the same determination that had let him face gods, that had driven him to surpass every limit, that made him the warrior he was. It will probably kill you, Lucifer warned. Bro, Babely isn't definitely, and I've beaten worse odds. You'll need time to learn, time we don't have. Then I'll learn faster, it's what Saiyans do. Charlie grabbed Vegeta's arm, her eyes desperate. You don't have to do this. This isn't your world, not your responsibility. You could leave right now. Use the chaos to escape through the void gate before it fully collapses. Vegeta looked at her, then at the assembled hotel residents. Angel Dust trying to hide fear behind bravado. Vaggy ready to fight despite knowing it was hopeless. Husk gripping his cards like a lifeline. Nifty somehow still smiling. Alastor watching with that eternal grin but something like respect in his ancient eyes. These pathetic, broken, hopeful beings who had shown him more genuine kindness than most of Universe 7. I made a deal, Vegeta said simply. 1 year, there's still 3 months left, and I keep my promises. He turned to Lucifer. Start teaching. We've got a dimensional catastrophe to prevent. And so, as hell literally began tearing itself apart, Vegeta learned the most dangerous technique he'd ever attempted. A method of weaving divine energy into dimensional barriers, of imposing will on reality itself until it obeyed. It was impossible, suicidal, exactly the kind of challenge that made Vegeta feel alive. The entities were spreading, consuming buildings, people, reality itself. The overlords mobilized their forces, buying time with their lives. Even Vox and Valentino, despite their hatred of the hotel, fought alongside Hell's defenders. Because when facing annihilation, old feuds became meaningless. And in the center of it all, Vegeta trained. Learning to seal the gate. Learning to save the realm that had become, against all odds, something like a home. The entities from beyond dimensions spread through the Pride Ring like cancer through flesh. They were impossible to describe in conventional terms. Some appeared as writhing masses of geometry that hurt to perceive. Others manifested as voids in reality, spaces where existence simply stopped. A few took twisted mockeries of familiar forms, wearing the shapes of angels or demons like ill-fitting costumes over their true natures. All of them hungered. They consumed buildings, reducing structures to less than dust. They devoured sinners, erasing them so completely that even Hell's regeneration couldn't bring them back. They fed on the very concept of reality, leaving behind spaces where physics forgot how to function. And they were multiplying. Every second the void gate remained open, more entities pushed through. The dimensional wound gaped wider, bleeding cosmic horrors into Hell's Pride Ring like pus from an infected wound. At the current rate of spread, the entire ring would be consumed within 6 hours. After that, the breach would expand to Hell's other rings, then to Earth, then to every dimension the entities could reach. Including Universe 7. Vegeta could feel it, his home universe calling to him through the dimensional chaos, so close, just on the other side of the breach. He could tear through, fight his way past the entities, and return to Bulma and Trunks, leave this realm to its fate, survive. But survival had never been enough for a Saiyan prince. In the hotel's reinforced training room, now hastily converted into a war room, Lucifer drew diagrams of divine energy with light itself. The sealing technique requires 3 components. First, you must anchor yourself to this dimension completely, become part of Hell's reality matrix. I'm not from this dimension, that's impossible. Impossible for anyone except you. Your energy signature exists outside Heaven's system, remember. That means you can theoretically interface with multiple dimensional frameworks simultaneously. You touched it once during training, existing in 3 places at once. You need to achieve that state again, but controlled, sustained. Vegeta's jaw clenched. He remembered that attempt, the agony, the sensation of his body tearing apart at the molecular level. And if I fail? You cease to exist across all dimensions simultaneously. No afterlife, no reincarnation, just nothing. Acceptable, what's the second component? Lucifer hesitated, glancing at Charlie, who stood nearby with Vaggy. You must channel divine authority, the power that created these dimensional barriers in the first place. Normally that comes from heaven, from God's direct blessing, but you're not blessed, you're barely tolerated. Then I'll create my own authority. I've fought gods, absorbed their techniques. If Beerus can channel Hakai, divine destruction, then I can channel whatever power this technique requires. That's not how it works. That's exactly how it works. Vegeta's purple-black aura flared. Power is power, divine, mortal, cosmic. It's all just energy arranged differently. I've spent 9 months adapting hell's energy to my Kai. I can adapt divine authority the same way. Charlie stepped forward, her hands clasped nervously, and the third component. Lucifer's expression grew dark. Sacrifice. The sealing doesn't just close the dimensional wound, it cauterizes it, burns away anything touching the breach when it collapses. That includes the caster. Silence filled the war room. You're saying whoever performs this technique dies, Vaggie stated flatly. Not dies, erased completely, permanently, across all dimensions and timelines simultaneously. Lucifer looked at Vegeta with ancient sorrow. I've never performed the full technique, only partial sealings that buy time, because the cost of a permanent seal is absolute annihilation. That's why I asked you to wait a year, so I could figure out an alternative. There is no alternative, Vegeta's voice carried absolute certainty. Either I seal the gate permanently and die, or those entities consume everything, including my home, my family. There has to be another way, Charlie's voice cracked with emotion. We could evacuate, move everyone to another ring, buy more time to what? Hope the entities stop being hungry, hope heaven decides to help after deliberately causing this catastrophe. Vegeta shook his head. I've been in enough wars to recognize when retreat isn't an option. This is one of those times. Angel Dust burst into the room, his usually carefree demeanor replaced by genuine terror. There through the outer defenses, the overlords are falling back, Zestial's been consumed, Rosie's missing. We've got maybe an hour before they reach the hotel. Through the windows they could see the approaching chaos. The sky itself was tearing, reality fragmenting like broken glass. Entities moved through the destruction, their mere presence causing buildings to collapse into non-existence. Then we're out of time for debate. Vegeta turned to Lucifer. Teach me the technique, now, every detail. I'll adapt it while I execute it. That's insane. You need weeks of practice to even attempt. I learned Super Saiyan Blue in hours when my universe needed it. I mastered Ultra Ego through sheer determination. I will learn this technique because the alternative is unacceptable. Start teaching. For the next 45 minutes, as hell literally crumbled around them, Lucifer explained divine sealing theory with desperate speed. Vegeta absorbed every word, his tactical mind breaking down the technique into components he could replicate. It was madness, impossible, but impossible had never stopped him before. Charlie watched him prepare with tears streaming down her face. This warrior who had arrived angry and trapped, who had slowly, grudgingly, become something like a friend, who was now preparing to sacrifice himself for a realm he'd never wanted to be part of. Why, she finally asked, her voice barely a whisper. You could escape, use the chaos, return home, see your family again. Why would you throw that away for us? Vegeta paused in his preparation, considering the question with unusual thoughtfulness. You asked me once if I believed in redemption. I told you I believed in evolution, in becoming stronger, better, but I never explained what that really means. He looked at her directly, his expression softer than she'd ever seen it. When I first came to Earth in my universe, I was a monster. I killed without thought, destroyed because I could. I was everything you'd expect from a Saiyan raised under Frieza's rule. And then I lost, was defeated by Kakarot, by Goku. Should have died, would have deserved it. But you didn't die, Charlie said softly. Number Kakarot showed mercy, and Bulma saw something in me worth saving. They gave me a chance I didn't earn, didn't deserve. And slowly, over years, I became something different, not good, not redeemed, but better than what I was. Vegeta's fists clenched. You did the same thing here, showed me kindness when you had no reason to, gave me shelter, protected me from overlords in heaven when you could have surrendered me to save yourselves. You made the same mistake Bulma made. You believed I could be more than my worst moments. That's not a mistake, that's hope. Maybe, but it's a hope I need to honor. Because if I run now, if I let you all die to save myself, then everything I've become since arriving in hell means nothing. I become the monster I was decades ago, and I refuse to go backward. He powered up, purple-black energy crackling around him. Besides, Bulma would kill me if I came home having abandoned people who needed help. She's terrifying when she's angry. Charlie laughed through her tears, then grabbed Vegeta in a fierce hug. Thank you for everything, for defending us, for showing us that strength doesn't require cruelty, for proving that even the proudest warrior can choose compassion." "I'm not choosing compassion, I'm choosing tactical necessity." "Keep telling yourself that." Charlie pulled back, her eyes meeting his. "When you're gone, I'll tell your story, make sure Eve. Ryan knows what you did. The Saiyan prince who saved hell not because he believed in redemption, but because he believed we deserved the chance to try." "Don't make me a hero, I hate that." "Too late, you already are one." Vaggie stepped forward, offering her hand. "It's been an honor knowing you, Vegeta, even when you were being an insufferable ass." Vegeta actually smiled at that, shaking her hand. "The feeling is mutual." Angel Dust next, trying to maintain his usual bravado despite obvious emotion. "You're all right, Prince. For a stuck-up alien warrior with no sense of humor, you're all right. Your lifestyle choices are still terrible." "Wouldn't be me if they weren't." Husk simply nodded, raising his bottle in silent salute. Nifty hugged Vegeta's leg, making him deeply uncomfortable. And Alastor's grin finally faded, replaced by something approaching genuine respect. "You've been the most entertaining thing to happen to Hell in a century," the radio demon said quietly. "I shall miss our philosophical debates." "We never had philosophical debates." "No, but I always hoped we would. Alas, time ran short." Alastor extended his hand. "Give them Hell, Saiyan Prince, or in this case, give Hell salvation." Vegeta shook it, then turned to Lucifer. "I'm ready. Show me where to position myself for maximum effect." "The center of the breach, where the void gate is widest. You'll be completely exposed to the entities. They'll try to consume you before you can complete the seal. Then they'll die trying." As Vegeta prepared to leave, Charlie's voice stopped him one last time. "Vegeta, when you see Bulma again, and I believe you will somehow, somewhere, tell her she raised an amazing warrior, and that we were honored to know him." Vegeta's throat tightened with emotion he refused to acknowledge. "I'll tell her Hell's princess is almost as stubborn as she is. That'll make her laugh." Then he launched himself into the crimson sky, rocketing toward the dimensional breach with the speed of desperation and determination. Behind him, the hotel residents watched his purple-black aura streak across the collapsing reality like a comet of defiant hope. "He's going to die," Vaggie said quietly. "He's going to save us," Charlie corrected. "There's a difference." The flight to the Void Gate's epicenter took 3 minutes. 3 minutes of dodging entities that tried to consume him mid-flight. 3 minutes of watching Hell's citizens, sinners he'd once considered beneath him, fight and die to buy time for evacuation. 3 minutes to contemplate that he'd never see his family again. Trunks would grow up without his father, again. Bulma would wait for him to come home, would search, would never find answers. Goku would wonder what happened to his rival. And Universe 7 would continue without Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans. But the Pride Ring would survive. Charlie would continue her impossible dream, and maybe, just maybe, that was worth the cost. He reached the gate's center, a massive wound in reality where dimensions bled into each other. Entities swarmed around it, thousands of them, all trying to push through to feast on Hell's reality. The sight would have broken lesser beings, would have driven them mad with cosmic horror. Vegeta smiled. "All right," he muttered, accessing Ultra Ego fully. "Let's see if a Saiyan can do what angels claim only gods can accomplish." He began the technique. First component, dimensional anchoring. He forced his existence to synchronize with Hell's reality matrix, feeling his being stretch across multiple planes of existence simultaneously. The pain was worse than anything he'd experienced, worse than training under 400 times gravity, worse than fighting Giant, worse than death itself. But pain fueled Ultra Ego. And Vegeta had always been exceptional at channeling suffering into strength. Second component, divine authority. He reached deep within himself to the core where his power originated, found the traces of divine energy he'd absorbed fighting Beerus, the fragments of godhood he'd claimed through Super Saiyan Blue, the authority he'd stolen from every deity he'd ever challenged. And he claimed it, made it his own, not borrowed, not gifted, earned. Purple-black energy exploded outward, so intense it pushed back the entities. Vegeta's body began to glow with power that transcended mortal limitations. He was becoming something unprecedented, a warrior channeling divine authority without divine blessing. The entities sensed the threat, attacked en masse, hundreds of them swarming Vegeta, trying to consume him, to erase him before he could complete the seal. He fought them off with one hand while maintaining the technique with the other. Every entity he destroyed bought him seconds. Every wound they inflicted made him stronger through Ultra Ego's gift. The dimensional barriers began to respond, began to recognize the authority he was channeling, started to obey. Third compound, and sacrifice. This was the part Lucifer had warned about, the irreversible cost. To seal the gate permanently, Vegeta would need to burn away everything touching the breach, including himself. His existence would become the cauterizing force that closed the wound. He would be the bandage and the flame simultaneously. Bulma, he whispered, thinking of his wife one last time. I'm sorry, I promised I'd always come home. Forgive me for breaking that promise. He prepared to initiate the final step. And then Charlie's voice cut through the dimensional chaos. Stop. She appeared beside him, teleported by Lucifer's power, her own demonic abilities flaring. Don't do it, there's another way. There is no other way, get out of here before. I can be the sacrifice, Charlie's eyes blazed with determination and tears. I'm Lucifer's daughter, I have divine authority naturally. I can channel the seal without needing to steal it, and I'm already part of Hell's reality matrix. It'll work better with me. Charlie, no, Vaggy's voice screamed from behind her. The others had followed, refusing to let either of them die alone. Vegeta's eyes widened with understanding and fury. You planned this. You were going to sacrifice yourself all along. Just like you planned to, but it makes more sense for me to do it. You have a family waiting, a universe that needs you. You're the only thing keeping Hell from complete darkness. You're the one person who actually believes these sinners deserve redemption. Without you, everything you've built dies. And without you, my hotel residents die. Everyone dies. Charlie grabbed his shoulders, her grip surprisingly strong. Please, Vegeta, you've done enough. You've given us hope. Shown us strength doesn't require cruelty. Let me finish this. Let me save my people. Charlie, don't you dare. Vaggy tried to pull her back, but Charlie had made her decision. I love you, Vaggy. I love all of you. Tell Dad I'm sorry for not being the daughter he wanted, but I'm exactly the daughter Hell needed. She began channeling her own power into the seal, her demonic angelic hybrid nature perfectly suited for the technique. The dimensional barriers responded immediately, recognizing Lucifer's bloodline. Vegeta felt his own connection to the seal weakening as Charlie strengthened, felt the technique shifting to accept her sacrifice instead of his, and in that moment, he made a decision that went against every Saiyan instinct. He let go, released his hold on the technique, stepped back, let Charlie take the full burden of the seal. No, Charlie's voice was barely a whisper. No, that's not what I wanted. You were supposed to escape. Use this chance to. I'm not leaving you to die alone. Vegeta's voice was gentle, final. If you're determined to make this sacrifice, then at least let me make sure it works perfectly. He placed his hand over hers on the sealing matrix. I'll anchor the technique from outside, channel my power to reinforce yours. It'll increase the effectiveness while reducing the strain on you, might even give you a chance to survive. That's not possible, Lucifer said. Lucifer said a lot of things that turned out to be wrong where I'm concerned. Trust me, princess. One last time, trust that I know what I'm doing. Charlie looked into his eyes and saw absolute certainty. Saw the tactical brilliance that had helped him survive countless impossible battles, and most importantly, saw genuine care beneath all that pride. Okay, she whispered, together. Together. They activated the seal simultaneously, Charlie's divine heritage channeling heaven's authority, Vegeta's stolen godhood channeling Hell's power, two impossible beings performing an impossible technique. The dimensional barriers screamed as they began closing. Entities were caught between realities, crushed, erased, sent back to the void spaces they'd emerged from. The void gate began contracting, the wound in reality healing under the combined will of a demon princess and a Saiyan warrior. But the cost was still absolute. Charlie felt her existence burning away, becoming the seal itself. Felt her consciousness fragmenting across dimensions. This was death, true death, permanent erasure. And then Vegeta's power surged. He channeled everything into reinforcing Charlie's sacrifice, used his ability to exist in multiple dimensions to anchor her soul across realities. It wouldn't save her completely, but it might preserve enough for reconstruction, for eventual recovery. It would cost him the chance to return home, would trap him in hell permanently, but he'd made peace with that. Some things were worth more than pride. Some people were worth saving, even at the cost of everything. The seal completed with a blast of purple, black, and golden light that could be seen from every ring of hell. The void gate slammed shut. The entities were erased or banished back to their dimensional prisons. Reality stabilized. And in the epicenter, two beings collapsed. Charlie's body was barely there, more concept than form. She'd given almost everything to the seal. Her consciousness flickered like a dying candle. Vegeta was more solid, but something fundamental had changed. His energy signature was now permanently bound to hell. He could never leave, never return to Universe 7. The technique had worked, but it had chained him to this dimension forever. Lucifer appeared instantly, gathering his daughter's fragmenting form. "Charlie, no, 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 stay with me, little duck, stay with me." "Dad," her voice was barely audible. "Did it work?" "Yes, you saved everyone. The seal is permanent, perfect, but you're dying. I know, it's okay, I'm not afraid." Charlie's eyes found Vegeta, who was being supported by Vaggie and Angel Dust. "Did we do it right?" "You did it perfectly," Vegeta confirmed, his voice strained. "The gate is sealed, hell is safe, and you're still alive, barely, but alive." Can't feel my body anymore." "That's because it's scattered across dimensions." Lucifer's eyes glowed with desperate determination. "But I can fix this, I can reconstruct you. It'll take time, years maybe, but I will bring you back, I swear on everything I am, Charlie. You're not dying here, not like this." He looked at Vegeta with gratitude and sorrow mixing in his ancient gaze. "You saved her, reinforced the seal so she wouldn't be completely erased. You gave up your chance to go home to give my daughter a chance to survive." "Don't thank me yet, she's not recovered." "But she can be, because of you." Lucifer stood, holding his daughter's fragmenting form carefully. "I need to take her to the palace. Begin the reconstruction immediately. Can you?" "I'll handle things here. Go, save your daughter." Lucifer vanished with Charlie, leaving the others standing in the ruins of what had been the Void Gate. The dimensional wound was gone, the entities defeated. Hell had survived. But the cost had been catastrophic. Vaggie turned to Vegeta, her eyes full of tears and rage and grief. "You let her do it. You could have stopped her. Could have been the sacrifice yourself. Why didn't you?" "Because she was right. Hell needs her more than it needs me. And because..." Vegeta paused, struggling with emotions he'd spent a lifetime suppressing. "Because she reminded me of everyone in Universe 7 who ever believed I could be better, and I couldn't let that light be extinguished, not if there was any other choice." "You're trapped here now, forever, that's what you said. The technique bound you to Hell's reality permanently." "I'm aware. Your family will survive without me, they've done it before." Vegeta's voice was flat, empty. "Trunks is strong enough to protect Earth, Bulma is brilliant enough to handle anything, and Kakarot will keep getting stronger. He'll surpass me again, probably already has." He looked around at the assembled demons, at Angel Dust trying to hide his tears, at Husk openly crying into his whiskey, at Nifty, her usual cheer finally broken, at Alastor, whose grin had faded completely for the first time anyone could remember. "I'm all you've got now, so you'd better make it count." Charlie sacrificed herself to save Hell. The least we can do is make sure her dream survives. "You're going to continue the hotel?" Vaggie asked, surprised. "Someone has to, and apparently I'm permanently available." Vegeta's jaw clenched with determination. "Besides, I made a promise. 1 year of helping in exchange for knowledge about the Void Gate. That deal is still active. I keep my promises, even when circumstances change." In the weeks that followed, as Lucifer worked desperately to reconstruct his daughter's scattered existence, Vegeta took over management of the Hazbin Hotel. It was the most surreal thing Hell had ever witnessed, a Saiyan prince teaching redemption exercises, defending sinners from overlords, and somehow making Charlie's impossible dream function. He hated every minute of it, and did it anyway, because that's what she would have wanted. Because some debts could only be paid forward. Because he was Vegeta, prince of all Saiyans. And even trapped in hell, even separated from his family forever, even forced into a role he'd never imagined. He would not break. He would only become stronger. 6 months passed in hell's crimson twilight. Vegeta ran the Hazbin Hotel with military precision and barely restrained fury. Every morning he woke to a realm that wasn't his home. Every night he meditated on the family he'd never see again. And every moment in between, he trained the hotel's residents with methods that would have made Wise proud and Beerus concerned. Angel Dust could now dodge attacks faster than sound. Husk had regained combat skills from his military days, enhanced by Hell's unique energy. Even Nifty had become surprisingly dangerous, her small size and manic energy now weaponized. Through proper technique. But Vaggie had become something else entirely. The fallen angel threw herself into training with obsessive dedication, driven by guilt and love and desperate need to be strong enough to protect Charlie when she returned. Vegeta recognized that drive, had seen it in himself countless times, so he trained her harder than anyone else, pushed her past breaking points, made her stronger than any exorcist angel. Made her dangerous. Again, Vegeta commanded, not even breathing hard despite the sparring session that had lasted 3 hours. Vaggie attacked with her spear, movements precise and brutal. She'd learned to channel demonic energy into the weapon, making each strike capable of actually injuring Vegeta, not seriously, but enough to notice, enough to approve. Her spear thrust toward his heart, he deflected it casually. She spun, using the momentum to aim for his neck. He caught the blade between 2 fingers. She released the weapon, used the opening to land a kick that actually made him take a step backward. Better, Vegeta released her spear. You're finally starting to fight like you mean it. I always meant it. No, before you fought like you were afraid to win, afraid that being too strong would make you into what heaven feared. Now you fight like you understand strength is just a tool. How you use it determines what you become. Vaggie retrieved her spear, breathing heavily. Is that what you learned? After all those years fighting gods and destroying planets, that power is just a tool. Power is everything, but what you do with it defines whether you're a warrior or a monster. Vegeta's expression hardened. I was a monster once, enjoyed it, reveled in destruction for its own sake, took decades and some very stubborn people to teach me the difference. Do you miss them, your family? The question struck deeper than any physical attack could. Vegeta's jaw clenched, purple-black energy flickering around him involuntarily. Every day, every moment, missing them is like breathing, constant, necessary, painful. I miss Charlie the same way. Vaggie sat heavily on the training room floor. Lucifer says the reconstruction is progressing, that he's gathered most of her scattered essence, but it could still take years before she's whole again, before she can come back. Then we make sure there's something worth coming back to. Vegeta sat as well, an unusual gesture for him. The hotel's rehabilitation success rate has increased 17% since I took over management. Sinners are actually showing behavioral changes. It's not redemption. But it's progress, Vaggie finished. Charlie would be proud. Charlie would be horrified at my methods. I don't coddle, don't accept excuses, don't let them wallow in self-pity. No, you just push them to be better through sheer force of will and terrifying training regimens. It's very you. They sat in comfortable silence, 2 beings bound by loss and determination. Outside the training room, the hotel had become something unexpected, not just a rehabilitation center, but a fortress, a symbol, proof that hell could change if given proper leadership. Even if that leadership came from a warrior who hated every second of his new role. The tranquility shattered when Alastor materialized through shadow, his grin wider than usual. Vegeta, my explosive friend, we have visitors, important ones, you'll want to see this. In the hotel lobby, an assembly had gathered that represented every major power faction in hell. The remaining overlords, Vox, Valentino, Velvet, Carmilla, Rossi, and others, stood alongside representatives from each of Hell's 7 rings. Even the deadly sins themselves had sent emissaries. All of them looked nervous. "This should be interesting," Vegeta muttered, descending the stairs with Vaggie and Alastor flanking him. "To what do I owe the displeasure of hosting Hell's political elite?" Carmilla Carmine stepped forward as spokesperson. "We need your help. All of Hell needs your help. Heaven is planning something. Sierra's been silent for months. No exterminations announced. No communications. Complete radio silence. And you interpret silence as a threat. When Heaven goes quiet, it's because they're preparing something catastrophic." Carmilla's expression was grim. "My intelligence network picked up fragments, whispered prayers, angelic communications encoded in divine frequencies. They're calling it the Purification Protocol." Vegeta's eyes narrowed. "Explain." Vox's screen face displayed tactical readouts. "Based on what we've intercepted, Heaven isn't planning another extermination. They're planning total erasure. Every ring of Hell, every sinner, every demon. They want to wipe the slate clean and rebuild from scratch." "Because of me," Vegeta stated flatly. "Because I defeated their extermination and proved angels can be killed. They see Hell as irredeemably corrupted and me as the catalyst." "Precise." Rossi's Victorian demeanor couldn't hide her concern. "And Lucifer is, indisposed, focused entirely on reconstructing Charlie. He's not responding to any attempts at contact, which means Hell's strongest defender is effectively absent. Leaving me as the next best option, how flattering." Valentino spread his wings, displaying unusual humility. "Look, we know you hate us, have every reason to let Heaven destroy everything. But if Hell falls, those entities from the Void Gate incident, they'll sense the dimensional weakness. They'll break through again, spread to Earth, to your Universe 7. It was a compelling argument, and unfortunately accurate. Hell served as a cosmic buffer zone. Its existence maintained dimensional stability in ways Vegeta was only beginning to understand. If Heaven erased it completely, the resulting reality wound would be catastrophic. "When is this purification protocol supposed to launch?" 3 days, Carmilla answered, "maybe less. Our intelligence suggests Sierra convinced the other Seraphim that Hell's existence threatens all of creation. They're mobilizing every angel, every blessed weapon, enough force to literally burn Hell out of existence." Vegeta processed this tactically. 3 days to prepare for war against Heaven's full might, against forces that had been holding back during the extermination, against divine authority backed by God himself. It was impossible. "Perfect. I'll help," Vegeta said simply, "but not because I care about Hell's survival, because letting Heaven commit genocide offends me on a fundamental level, and because those entities cannot be allowed to spread." Relief flooded the assembled demons' faces. "Thank you. We'll mobilize every overlord, every capable fighter, coordinate our defenses." "No," Vegeta's voice cut through their planning like a blade. "You'll evacuate every non-combatant to the lowest rings, seal them in, then you'll stay out of my way." "Excuse me," Vox's screen flickered with indignation. "You expect to fight Heaven's entire army alone?" "I expect to fight efficiently. Your overlords couldn't defeat 3,000 exorcists. Heaven's full force will number in the hundreds of thousands. You'll die in seconds. Better to survive and rebuild than waste your lives on a battle you can't win." Carmilla stepped closer, her tactical mind understanding immediately. "You're not planning to defend Hell. You're planning to attack Heaven directly. Defense is for those who can't win through offense. If Heaven wants to erase Hell, I'll give them a better target, myself. Let them commit their forces to killing me while you evacuate everyone who matters." "That's suicide," Rossi observed, "even for you." "Probably, but I've beaten worse odds." Vegeta's purple-black aura began to flicker. "And I have 3 days to achieve something I've been working toward since arriving in Hell, a technique that will make even Heaven's gods hesitate." "What technique?" Alastor asked, his grin returning with interest. "In my universe there exists a power called Hakai, divine destruction, the ability to erase anything from existence completely. Not kill, not damage, erase, as if it never existed at all." Vegeta's eyes glowed with dangerous excitement. "I've seen it used, studied it, understood its fundamental principles, and Hell's energy is perfectly suited for channeling it." Understanding dawned across the overlords' faces with horror and awe. You want to use God's own erasure power against heaven, Carmilla whispered. That's blasphemous, impossible, insane, Vegeta smiled viciously. Yes, all of that, which is exactly why it'll work. Heaven expects demons, overlords, Lucifer if he bothers to wake up. They're not prepared for a Saiyan who's learned to channel divine destruction. He turned toward the stairs, already planning his training regime. Spread the word, evacuate everyone you can. In 3 days, heaven descends, and they'll learn what happens when you try to commit genocide against a realm under my protection. As the overlords dispersed to coordinate evacuations, Vaggie grabbed Vegeta's arm. You really think you can learn Hakai in 3 days? I don't think I know, because the alternative is unacceptable. His expression softened slightly. Charlie sacrificed herself to save Hell. I won't let her sacrifice be meaningless. When she returns, this realm will still exist. That's a promise. For the next 72 hours, Vegeta didn't sleep, didn't eat, existed in a state of pure focused training that transcended mortal limits. In Lucifer's void space, he pushed himself beyond every previous boundary. Hakai wasn't just a technique, it was a philosophy. The understanding that existence itself was temporary, that everything could be unmade. Beerus wielded it with casual ease because he was a god of destruction. It was literally his purpose, but Vegeta wasn't a god. He was something potentially more dangerous. A mortal who refused to accept T-limits, who stole divine techniques through understanding and determination, who made the impossible possible through sheer force of will. On the second day, he achieved the basic form, purple-black energy that could erase objects from existence. It was crude, uncontrolled, would exhaust him after a single use, but it worked. On the third day, he refined it, learned to channel Hell's sin energy, specifically wrath, as fuel. The technique transformed, becoming something unique, not Beerus's Hakai, but Vegeta's own version, more violent, less elegant, absolutely devastating. He called it Omega Hakai. When Heaven's army descended, when the sky split open with golden portals and hundreds of thousands of angels emerged singing hymns of purification, Vegeta was ready. He stood alone in the center of Pentagram City, every other being evacuated to the lower rings. The city was empty except for him, a single warrior facing divine judgment. The angels spread across the sky like a plague of light. Their commander wasn't Adam this time, it was Sira herself. The high seraphim floated at the army's head, 6 wings burning with holy fire, her expression mixing righteousness and sorrow. Vegeta, Prince of Saiyans, her voice carried across the empty city with divine harmonics. Stand down, this is not your fight, you are not of hell, not truly damned. We can extract you before the purification begins, send you home to your Universe 7, all you must do is step aside. Tempting offer, Vegeta called back. There's just one problem, I can't go home. The sealing technique that closed the void gate bound me to hell permanently. This is my dimension now, and I don't let anyone destroy what's mine. Then you will be erased with the rest of hell. I'm sorry it had to end this way. You could have been an ally, a bridge between dimensions. Instead, you chose to stand with sinners, with demons, with the damned. I chose to stand with people who actually tried to change, who believed in redemption even when everyone said it was impossible. That makes them worth more than every angel in your army. Vegeta's aura exploded outward, purple-black flames rising to meet heaven's golden light. So if you want to erase hell, you'll have to go through me. And I promise you, by the time I'm done, heaven will remember why even gods fear the Saiyan race. He accessed Ultra Ego fully, the transformation enhanced by 15 months of adapting to Hell's energy. Then he reached deeper, channeling the Omega Hakai he'd perfected. Purple-black energy began to crackle with something else, something that made reality itself flinch. The power to erase, to unmake, to channel divine destruction without divine blessing. Sira's eyes widened with genuine fear. That's impossible. You're not a god of destruction. You can't wield Hakai. You don't have the authority. I am Vegeta, he interrupted, his voice carrying across dimensions. I don't ask permission to become stronger. I don't wait for gods to grant me power. I take it. I earn it. I make it mine through blood and determination, and refusing to accept that anything is impossible. He smiled, and it was the smile of a warrior about to enjoy glorious battle. So come on then, heaven, show me your purification protocol. Show me your full might, and I'll show you what happens when you try to erase a Saiyan prince. I'll show you Omega Hakai. The battle for Hell's existence began, and it would shake the very foundations of divine order. The first wave of angels died before they understood what killed them. Vegeta moved through their ranks like a force of nature, each movement precise and devastating, but he wasn't using conventional attacks, wasn't relying on energy blasts or physical strikes. He was channeling Omega Hakai with increasing mastery, and every angel touched by that purple-black energy simply ceased to exist. Not killed, not destroyed, erased. As if they had never been created at all. Sira watched in horror as her forces evaporated. These were angels, divine beings crafted by God himself. They should have been immune to erasure from anyone except the presence. Yet this mortal warrior, this anomaly from another universe, was unmaking them with technique that shouldn't be possible. All units, Purification Formation Delta, Sira's command echoed across the battlefield. Coordinate blessed weapon strikes, target his energy signature directly. The angels adjusted tactics with military precision. Thousands of blessed weapons fired simultaneously, each one designed to erase demonic essence. The combined attack could have annihilated an entire ring of hell. It washed over Vegeta like rain. Did you not listen during the extermination? His voice carried amusement and contempt in equal measure. Your blessed weapons don't work on me. I'm not part of your system, not heaven's jurisdiction. Every rule you're built on, every assumption about how power works in your reality, I break them all simply by exist. He raised his hand, and Omega Hakai coalesced into a sphere of purple-black annihilation. Let me demonstrate. He released the technique. The sphere expanded outward in a wave of erasure, consuming everything in a 300-meter radius. Angels, blessed weapons, even the ambient holy energy, all of it simply stopped existing. The wave left behind not destruction, but absence, holes in reality where things used to be. 5,000 angels gone in a single attack. Sira felt genuine fear for the first time in millennia. Fall back, regroup at. No falling back, Vegeta interrupted, appearing directly in front of her with speed that transcended perception. You came here to erase hell, to commit genocide because you were afraid that demons might change, afraid that redemption might actually be possible, afraid that your precious order was built on flawed assumptions. His fist connected with her jaw, divine energy meeting Saiyan power. Sira, the High Seraphim, was sent spiraling through 3 of her own angel formations. Well, congratulations, your fear was completely justified. He pursued her, each movement creating sonic booms that shattered whatever physics hell still maintained. Sira recovered mid-flight, her 6 wings spreading wide as she channeled divine authority directly from heaven's throne. You think you can fight all of heaven. You think one warrior, no matter how powerful, can stand against the full might of God's creation. I've fought universe-destroying gods before. You're not special. They clashed at the speed of light, trading blows that could shatter planets. Sira's holy fire met Vegeta's Omega Hakai in explosions that tore holes in reality. For every angel that tried to assist her, Vegeta erased 5 more. His Ultra Ego fed on the damage he took, making him stronger with each hit that landed. And the damage was considerable. Blessed weapons, even if they couldn't erase him, could still wound, could still hurt. And Sira herself was far more powerful than the exorcists he'd fought during the extermination. She wielded authority that came directly from the presence, channeling power that predated existence itself. Under normal circumstances, Vegeta would have been overwhelmed, killed, erased. But Ultra Ego made normal circumstances irrelevant. Every wound fueled his power, every drop of blood spilled made him stronger. He was literally becoming more dangerous the longer the fight continued, and there was nothing heaven could do to stop it. Sira realized this tactical reality with growing desperation. He's using our attacks against us. The more we hurt him, the stronger he becomes. We need to. She never finished the sentence. Vegeta's Omega Haki-enhanced fist punched through her divine defenses and into her chest. Not deep enough to kill. He needed her alive to send a message, but deep enough to show he could have killed her if he'd chosen to. Do you understand now? Vegeta's voice was cold, final. You can't win this. Every angel you send, I'll erase. Every weapon you use, I'll turn into fuel for my power. You came here expecting resistance, desperation. Maybe Lucifer showing up to defend his realm. You didn't expect me. He released her, letting the seraphim collapse in the ruins of Pentagram City. Go back to heaven. Tell the presence what happened here. Tell him that hell is under new management. Tell him that genocide isn't happening on my watch. And tell him if he has a problem with that, he's welcome to face me himself. Sira struggled to her feet, her divine body actually showing damage. You've declared war on heaven itself. Do you understand the consequences? The presence doesn't involve himself in mortal affairs, but this he cannot ignore. Good, I've been wanting to test myself against the being you all claim created everything. Let him come. Let's see if God himself can withstand Omega Hakai. For a moment, Sira considered continuing the fight, calling in reinforcements, deploying weapons heaven hadn't used since the war in heaven itself. But looking at Vegeta standing in the ruins, covered in blood and divine ichor, his purple-black aura crackling with power that could erase creation itself, she realized the truth. They couldn't win. Not today. Maybe not ever. Retreat, she commanded, her voice carrying defeat and determination both. All forces return to heaven. This battle is over. This war is over, Vegeta corrected. If heaven ever tries this again, if you ever descend with intent to commit genocide, I won't just defend, I'll attack. I'll bring this same erasure to your golden halls. I'll show you what happens when someone who can't be controlled decides your authority is illegitimate. The angels fled through golden portals, carrying their wounded, leaving their erased behind. The sky closed up, heaven's army retreating for the first time in history. And Vegeta stood alone in the ruins, victorious and exhausted. He'd won. Hell was saved. But the cost had been catastrophic. His body was failing. The technique channeling Omega Hakai continuously for hours had pushed him past every previous limit. His cells were breaking down. His energy reserves were completely depleted. Even Ultra Ego couldn't sustain him anymore. He collapsed to his knees, then to his side, consciousness fading. The last thing he saw before darkness claimed him was a figure approaching. Lucifer, finally emerging from his self-imposed isolation, his expression mixing pride and concern, and something that might have been gratitude. You magnificent fool, the morning star's voice was soft. You actually did it, defeated heaven's full force, saved hell despite having every reason to let it burn. Charlie, Vegeta's voice was barely a whisper, is she? Alive, whole, recovering, you bought me enough time to reconstruct her completely. She'll be back in a few weeks. Lucifer knelt beside the fallen warrior. She's going to be so angry that you nearly killed yourself protecting her realm. Tell her it was worth it. Consciousness faded completely. When Vegeta woke 3 days later, he found himself in the Hazbin Hotel's medical wing. His body was wrapped in bandages infused with demonic healing magic. Monitors tracked vitals he hadn't known hell could measure, and beside his bed, keeping vigil, sat someone he'd thought he'd never see again. Charlie. She looked different, more solid, more real. The reconstruction had changed her somehow, made her stronger, more defined. Her demon nature was more pronounced, but her eyes still held that impossible optimism he'd grudgingly come to respect. You're an idiot, she said softly, tears streaming down her face. A proud, stubborn, magnificent idiot. Good to see you too, princess. You almost died, actually died, permanent erasure. Dad says you pushed Omega Hakai so far past safe limits that reality itself was rejecting your existence. You could have ceased to exist across all dimensions, gone forever. But I didn't. I won. Hell's safe, you're back, mission accomplished. Charlie laughed through her tears, then grabbed his hand. Thank you for protecting my home, for keeping the hotel running while I was gone, for proving that even the proudest warrior can choose compassion when it matters most. Still not compassion, still tactical necessity. Keep telling yourself that, she squeezed his hand gently. Vaggie told me what you did, how you trained everyone, defended sinners, ran redemption exercises despite hating every second. You've done more for hell in a year than most demons do in centuries. I kept my promise, 1 year, though it turned into 15 months, had to account for the extended recovery time and apocalypse prevention. Speaking of promises, Charlie's expression grew serious. Dad told me about the void gate, about how the sealing technique bound you to hell permanently. You can't go home, can never see your family again, and it's my fault. If I hadn't insisted on being the sacrifice, you could have escaped, could have returned to Universe 7. Vegeta's expression hardened. Don't take that burden on yourself. I made my choice, knew the costs, would make the same choice again. Why would you sacrifice everything for people you barely knew, for a realm you never wanted to be part of? He considered the question with unusual thoughtfulness, because Bulma taught me that strength without purpose is just destruction, because Trunks showed me that even failures can become heroes if given the chance, because Kakarot proved that mercy isn't weakness, it's the hardest strength to master. His eyes met hers directly. And because you reminded me of all of them, you're as stubborn as Bulma, as hopeful as Trunks, as foolishly merciful as Kakarot. You saw potential in me when you had no reason to, gave me purpose when I thought I'd lost everything. The least I could do was make sure you survived to continue your impossible dream. Charlie broke down completely, sobbing into his shoulder. Vegeta, deeply uncomfortable with emotional displays, patted her head awkwardly. It was the most affection he'd shown anyone in hell, and despite his discomfort, he didn't pull away. Over the following weeks, hell underwent transformation. Word of Vegeta's victory spread across all 7 rings, the Saiyan who defeated heaven, who proved angels could bleed, who made the impossible possible through sheer determination. He became legend, folk hero, symbol. He hated every second of it. But he couldn't deny the results. Sinners approached redemption with new hope. Overlords reconsidered their brutal hierarchies. Even the other rings sent delegations to the Pride Ring, wanting to understand how rehabilitation might work in their territories. The Hazbin Hotel became famous. Charlie's dream was finally spreading. And Vegeta, despite his protests, had become the face of Hell's new era. "This is your fault," he told Charlie one evening as they watched yet another delegation arrive. "My fault that you saved everyone and became a hero. I'll take that blame gladly. I'm not a hero, I'm a warrior who made tactical decisions. Vegeta, you literally fought all of heaven to protect people you claimed not to care about. That's the definition of heroic. That's the definition of keeping promises. There's a difference." "Is there," Charlie smiled, "that same impossible optimism shining through, or is that just pride talking?" He didn't answer, didn't need to. They both knew the truth. Vegeta had changed, hell had changed him. Not into something redeemed, he would never claim that word, but into something that recognized the value in protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. It was what Goku would have done. And for once, Vegeta didn't mind following in his rival's footsteps. Because some battles were worth fighting. Some people were worth saving. And some impossible dreams were worth believing in. Even in hell. 5 years later, hell was unrecognizable. The Pride Ring had transformed from a chaotic city of sin into something approaching civilization. Overlords still existed, but their power was checked by something unprecedented: accountability. Sinners still indulged in their vices, but rehabilitation programs offered genuine alternatives. And above it all, the Hazbin Hotel stood as proof that redemption was possible. Not guaranteed, not easy, but possible. Charlie Morningstar oversaw it all with wisdom gained through sacrifice and reconstruction. Her near-death experience had changed her, made her stronger while maintaining her core optimism. She was no longer the naive princess trying to fix hell through cheerful persistence. She was a leader, a force, someone even the overlords respected. And beside her, training the hotel's security force and occasionally teaching redemption exercises with extreme prejudice, was Vegeta. The Saiyan prince had aged in those 5 years, though Saiyan aging was slow and subtle. His hair had more gray at the temples. His face carried deeper lines from stress and responsibility, but his power had continued growing. Ultra Ego, enhanced by Hell's energy, had become second nature. Omega Hakai could now be channeled with perfect control. He was, without question, the single most powerful being in Hell, stronger than Lucifer in terms of raw destructive capability, more feared than any overlord, more respected than any demon. And absolutely miserable about it. I should be fighting gods, he muttered to himself during a quiet morning, pushing my limits against Kakarot, training with wise, not teaching demons how to manage their anger issues through constructive channeling exercises. Talking to yourself again, Vaggy's voice interrupted his brooding. She'd become his unofficial second-in-command over the years, the only person besides Charlie who could manage him effectively. I'm not talking to myself, I'm planning. Planning how to escape a realm you're dimensionally bound to. That's called delusion, not planning. There's always a way, I just haven't found it yet. Vaggy sat beside him on the hotel's roof, their usual spot for these conversations. You know, for someone who claims to hate being here, you've built quite the legacy. The rehabilitation success rate is at 63%. Actual sinners achieving genuine behavioral change, some even showing characteristics heaven might consider redeemable. The techniques work, doesn't mean I enjoy implementing them. Liar, I've seen you with the newer residents. You care about their progress, take pride when they succeed. I take satisfaction in efficiency, it's not the same thing. Keep telling yourself that. Vaggy's expression grew serious. Heaven sent another delegation, third one this year. Sira wants to negotiate new treaties, formally recognize Hell's rehabilitation programs. She's even hinted that sinners who complete our program might be considered for reassessment. That made Vegeta look up with genuine interest. They're admitting their judgment might be flawed. Not admitting, considering its progress, glacial, bureaucratic, annoying progress, but progress nonetheless. Vaggy smiled slightly. You broke their absolute authority, made them question everything. That's not nothing. It's not enough. As long as heaven maintains the power to judge and condemn, the system remains broken. Maybe, but you've proven that broken systems can be challenged, changed. That's what Charlie's been trying to tell you for 5 years. You're not trapped here as punishment, you're here as catalyst, the thing that makes change possible. Before Vegeta could respond, Angel Dust burst onto the roof with his usual dramatic flair. Vegeta, Charlie needs you downstairs, we've got a situation. The situation turned out to be unprecedented. In the hotel lobby stood a being that shouldn't exist in hell, an angel, but not an exorcist, not a seraphim, something else entirely. This angel wore simple robes, radiated gentle power, and looked at Vegeta with eyes that held infinite patience. I am Metatron, the angel introduced himself. Voice of God, I've come with a message from the presence himself. The entire hotel fell silent. Even Alastor's grin faded into something approaching respect. God, the actual creator of heaven and hell, had sent his personal messenger. I'm listening, Vegeta said, arms crossed, deliberately casual despite the significance. The presence has observed your actions these past 5 years, your defense of hell, your development of rehabilitation programs, your refusal to accept that damnation must be permanent. Metatron's voice carried harmonics that made reality resonate. He finds your work interesting, challenging to divine order, certainly, but interesting nonetheless. Tell your boss I don't care whether he's interested or not. He thought you might say that, which is why he sent me with an offer. Metatron gestured, and reality parted like a curtain. Through the opening, Vegeta could see Universe 7, could see Earth, could see Capsule Corporation and the familiar figure of Bulma working in her lab. His breath caught. The presence is willing to release you from your dimensional binding, Metatron continued. Allow you to return home. Resume your existence in Universe 7 as if you'd never left. All he asks in return is that you cease interfering with heaven and hell's natural order. Let divine judgment proceed without your intervention. It was everything Vegeta had wanted for 5 years. Freedom, home, family, the chance to see Bulma again, to watch Trunks grow, to challenge Kakarot to battles that pushed them both beyond their limits. All he had to do was abandon hell. Abandon Charlie and everyone who had believed in his impossible promise. Except that some people were meant to suffer forever. No, Vegeta said simply. The word hung in the air like a verdict. Metatron's eyebrows rose slightly, the first expression of surprise the angel had shown. You're refusing the chance to return home, to see your family, to escape a realm you never wanted to be part of. I'm refusing to validate a broken system. Your presence had millennia to fix divine judgment. Instead, he created a realm where suffering is eternal, where people are punished forever for mistakes they made in mortal lifetimes, where redemption is considered impossible. Vegeta's purple-black aura began to flicker. I've spent 5 years proving that assumption wrong, proving sinners can change, grow, become better than what they were, and now your God wants me to pretend that work doesn't matter, to accept that some beings deserve eternal damnation regardless of their efforts to improve. Absolutely not. Metatron studied him with those infinite eyes. You would sacrifice your own happiness, your family, your entire universe, for a realm full of strangers who were condemned by divine authority. They're not strangers anymore, they're people I made promises to, students I've trained, beings who trusted me to help them become better. Vegeta's expression hardened with absolute certainty, and I keep my promises, even when gods offer easier alternatives. For a long moment, Metatron said nothing. Then, incredibly, he smiled. The presence thought you might refuse. In fact, he would have been disappointed if you'd accepted, because it would have meant you learned nothing from your time here. The angel's form began to fade. He asked me to deliver a second message, in case you chose this path. Well done, Saiyan Prince. You've proven that even divine order can be challenged when built on flawed foundations. Continue your work. Hell needs you more than heaven needs its pride. Metatron vanished, leaving stunned silence in his wake. Charlie was the first to break it, throwing her arms around Vegeta with tears streaming down her face. You idiot, you magnificent, stubborn, impossible idiot, you could have gone home. I am home. The words surprised Vegeta as much as anyone else, but they were true. Universe 7 was where I was born, where I became a warrior, but hell is where I learned what that strength was actually for, where I discovered that power without purpose is just destruction. He gently extracted himself from Charlie's embrace, addressing the assembled hotel residents. I'm not staying because I believe in redemption. I'm staying because you all earned the right to try, and I'll be damned more than I already am if I let anyone take that away. Angel Dust started clapping, then Husk joined in, then Vaggie. Soon the entire hotel was applauding, and Vegeta wanted to crawl into a hole and die of embarrassment. Stop that, this is unnecessary. Too bad, Charlie beamed through her tears. You made a heroic choice. You get applause, that's how this works. I hate all of you. No you don't, Nifty chimed in. You love us, you're just too proud to admit it. I will literally erase you from existence. But his threats carried no weight anymore. Everyone knew the truth. Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans, had become Hell's protector, its teacher, its unlikely champion of redemption. Not because he believed in it, but because the people trying to achieve it deserved someone who believed in them. Over the following months, word of Vegeta's choice spread across all of existence. Heaven's angels whispered about the warrior who refused paradise to protect the damned. Hell's sinners sang songs about the Saiyan prince who chose them over his family. And in Universe 7, though they didn't know the details, Bulma and Trunks felt somehow that Vegeta was alive, fighting, making impossible choices in impossible circumstances. Exactly as he'd always done. The Hazbin Hotel continued its work, now recognized throughout Hell as the premier rehabilitation facility. Other demons started similar programs in other rings, using Vegeta's techniques as templates. Slowly, agonizingly slowly, Hell began to change. And at the center of it all, training students who would never fully appreciate the sacrifices he'd made, was Vegeta. He still missed his family every day, still dreamed of battles with Kakarot, still felt the weight of being trapped in a dimension that wasn't his own. But he had purpose, had students who relied on him, had a promise to keep and a realm to protect. Some would call it redemption. Vegeta called it evolution. The difference didn't matter anymore. Because in the end, he had become something more than a warrior who destroyed obstacles. He had become a warrior who protected those trying to overcome their own obstacles, who gave them the tools and training to succeed. Who proved that even in Hell, even separated from everything he loved, a Saiyan prince could make a difference. Years continued to pass, decades. Charlie's rehabilitation program became the standard across all of Hell. Some sinners actually achieved redemption, ascending to heaven through genuine transformation. It was rare, difficult, but possible. proof that Vegeta's impossible promise had been kept. On the 100th anniversary of his arrival in Hell, Vegeta stood on the hotel's roof, watching the crimson sky. He was older now, though Saiyans aged slowly. Gray streaked his hair, lines marked his face, but his power had never been greater. Ultra Ego enhanced by a century of Hell's energy, Omega Hakai perfected to the point where he could erase concepts, power that rivaled gods of destruction. All of it used to protect people who had once been considered irredeemable. Still brooding, Lucifer appeared beside him, the morning star looking exactly as he had a century before. "I'm not brooding, I'm contemplating." "Sure, and I'm not the devil, I'm just misunderstood," Lucifer smiled. "Charlie wanted me to give you something, a gift for your centennial." He handed Vegeta a small device. It looked like a communicator, but the energy signature was familiar. Impossible, it couldn't be. "We've been working on it for 50 years, Lucifer explained. "Dimensional communications technology. Can't send you home, can't break the binding, but it can transmit messages between dimensions. You could talk to Bulma, Trunks, tell them you're alive, that you haven't forgotten them." Vegeta stared at the device, his hands shaking for the first time in decades. "This is the least we could do. You gave up everything for Hell, for my daughter, for people who had no right to expect your sacrifice." Lucifer's expression was serious, grateful. "Thank you, Vegeta, for being the catalyst we needed, the warrior who proved that change is always possible." Alone later that night, Vegeta activated the communicator. After a century of separation, he heard Bulma's voice. "Hello, is anyone there? This better not be another prank call, or I swear." Bulma, his voice cracked with emotion he'd suppressed for 100 years. "It's me." Silence, then a sob that broke his heart. "Vegeta, is that really you? Where have you been? We've been searching for decades. Trunks thought you were dead. Goku thought you'd been erased. Where?" "I'm alive, trapped in another dimension. Can't come home, but I'm alive, and I needed you to know that." They talked for hours. Vegeta explained everything. The dimensional accident, Hell, Charlie, the choice to protect rather than escape. Bulma cried, raged, then laughed at how completely like him it was to become a teacher in Hell of all places. "Our son needs to hear this," she finally said. "Trunks, get over here, your father's on the phone." And for the first time in a century, Vegeta heard his son's voice, older now, mature, but still carrying that tone of respect and love that made pride swell in the Saiyan's chest. They talked until the dimensional connection weakened, made promises to communicate regularly, shared stories of the century they'd spent apart. When the connection light cut out, Vegeta sat in his room with tears streaming down his face. He hadn't returned home, hadn't escaped his dimensional prison. But he had closure, had the knowledge that his family knew he was alive, that they understood his choice, that Bulma impossibly approved of what he'd done. "You always did have a hero complex," she'd said. "You just hid it behind pride and grumpiness. I'm proud of you, Vegeta, for doing the hard thing, for protecting people who needed you." The next morning, Vegeta returned to his duties with renewed purpose, trained Charlie's newest students, defended the hotel from threats, continued the work of proving that redemption was possible. And every week, he used the dimensional communicator to talk with his family, to hear about Trunks' achievements, about Goku's latest transformation, about Earth's peace maintained by warriors Vegeta had trained before his dimensional accident. He was still trapped, still separated from everything he loved. But he was no longer alone. And that made all the difference. In Universe 7, Bulma created a monument in Capsule Corporation's garden, a statue of Vegeta in his Ultra Ego form, purple aura captured in crystallized energy. The inscription read, "Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans, warrior, father, hero, lost to us but never forgotten, fighting still in realms beyond our reach." In Hell, Charlie renamed the Hazbin Hotel's main training hall Vegeta's legacy. Every student who graduated from the rehabilitation program passed through those halls, learned his techniques, heard his story. The Saiyan who chose damnation over abandoning his promises. The warrior who proved that even in Hell, hope could survive. The prince who became Hell's unlikely savior. And in the spaces between dimensions, where reality grew thin and cosmic forces observed the multiverse, beings older than creation itself took notice. A mortal had challenged divine order and won. A warrior had achieved redemption without accepting the label. A Saiyan had become more than his race, his pride, his power. He had become legend. And legends, as every universe eventually learns, have a way of changing reality itself. In a place where fate made a single mistake, where a warrior fell through dimensions and landed in hell, something impossible had occurred. Not redemption, but evolution. The constant transformation that defined what it meant to be Saiyan. What it meant to be Vegeta. What it meant to choose purpose over power. And though separated by dimensions that could never be bridged, though trapped in a realm he'd never wanted to join, though living a life he'd never imagined, Vegeta had found what every warrior ultimately seeks. Not victory, not strength, but meaning. And in the end, that was the greatest power of all.